ओम श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः. चतुर्दश विद्या स्थानानी 2.1 शिक्षा येन धवता गिरः पुंसां विमलैः शब्दवारिभिः तमश्चाज्ञानजं भिन्नं तस्मै पाणिनये नमः. I bow down to Panini, who purified the speech of people by sprinkling the pure water of words, thus destroying the darkness of ignorance. Paniniya Shiksha. Expected learning outcomes. By the end of the lesson, learners will be able to define Shiksha, articulate the purpose of Shiksha, illustrate the scientific principles behind pronunciation of letters, apply these principles to other languages. Introduction. As previously discussed, the Vedas follow a distinct and precise pattern of recitation, where specific letters are accented. Shiksha Vedanga serves as the guiding discipline for the proper recitation of the Vedas. Therefore, Shiksha can be defined as the science of Vedic pronunciation. Mastery of pronunciation is essential for progressing in Vedic studies. Notably, Shiksha is regarded as the first and foremost Vedanga. Do you know? In Sanskrit, even a slight mispronunciation can lead to a completely different or opposite meaning. Have you ever observed this in the case of the dental S and the palatal S, sh, and sh? Let us explore a few examples to understand this distinction. Sajana, a relative, shojana, a dog. Sakala, whole, shakala, part, piece. Sakrut, once, shakrut, cow dung. Literature review. Several texts focus on the study of pronunciation. Among them, Paniniya Shiksha is one of the most renowned works. Additionally, certain special letters appear in specific shakhas, branches of the Vedas. For instance, the letter L is found in the Rigveda. These unique phonetic elements are documented in texts known as Pratishakyas, which provide specific linguistic and phonetic guidelines for individual branches of the Vedas. Core tenets, significance of Shiksha. Before exploring the fundamental principles of Shiksha, it is essential to understand its significance. As discussed in the earlier chapters, the Vedas have been preserved by oral tradition, wherein a guru imparts knowledge to students. The students listen attentively, practice repeatedly, and commit the teachings to memory. In such an oral tradition, any mispronunciation could lead a distortion in the content. Therefore, the study of Shiksha is crucial for maintaining the integrity of the Vedas. You may have noticed that people often pronounce the same word differently due to the regional influences. While such variations are common in everyday language, they are undesirable in Vedic recitation as they can alter the meaning of the text. Hence, Shiksha must be studied with utmost dedication to ensure the accurate preservation and transmission of the Vedas. Story of Indrashatru. The Vedas contain a story that underscores the importance of proper pronunciation. This story is further elaborated in the Puranas. Twashtra, Twashtru performed a yajna to create Vrutra, a being capable of defeating Indra. During the yajna, he chanted a mantra, O Indrashatru, may you grow to destroy Indra. However, due to incorrect intonation, the mantra took an unintended meaning. O you, whose destroyer is Indra, may he grow. As time passed, Vrutra began tormenting the world. Ultimately, he could only be slain with a weapon crafted from the bone of the sage Dadichi. Moved by compassion and the welfare of all beings, Dadichi willingly sacrificed his body to provide the necessary bone. With his weapon, Indra was finally able to defeat Vrutra. This story highlights how even the slightest mispronunciation can lead to significant consequences. Yaska, the composer of Nirukta, interpreted such Vedic stories with a rational approach. He suggested that Vrutra symbolizes a cloud, while Vajra, Indra's weapon, represents lightning, both of which ultimately result in rainfall. What does Shiksha do? Now that we understood the significance of Shiksha, let us explore how its objectives are achieved. Words are analyzed by breaking them down into their smallest units, Varnas letters. Below is a table listing the Sanskrit Varnas, commonly referred to as Varnamala, meaning the garland of Varnas. वर्णमाला ठीक है कमला K plus A plus M plus A plus L plus A Narayana N plus A. This is Kamal and this is Narayana. N plus A plus R plus A plus Y plus A plus N plus A. Narayana. A I I U Ru Lu A I O Aha A I U Ru Lu A I O Aha K K G K Ng Ch Ch J Ch Yang T Th D Th N T Th D Th N P F B B M Y R L V Sh Sh S H. Then the characteristics of each varna and a correct method of pronunciation are explained. All varnas are articulated using specific points, sthanas within the oral cavity. The following table provides a selective list of these articulation points. Nasika, nasal effort, yangana nama, murdha, upper palate, ro, ta, tha, da, dha, na, ra, sha, murdha. Oshtha lips, u, pa, fa, ba, bha, ma, va. Danta teeth, rlu, ta, tha, da, dha, na, la, sa. Talu palate, e, cha, cha, ja, jha, ya, sha, sha. Kantha, throat, a, ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, ha. Figure is given. Oshtha, danta, oshtha, nasika, murdha, talu, kantha, sha, murdhanya, sha, talavya, murdha, sh, sh, talu. Do it yourself. Spell out the varnas and observe whether you can identify their places of articulation. Try to pronounce the without using your teeth. Try to pronounce pa without involving your lips. Try to articulate wa without taking help of your lips and teeth. Do you know? In the seventh Uchvasa of his Dashakumara Charita, the poet Dandi deliberately avoids using any labial word sounds, as the character in this section had injured lips. Similarly, in Nirostha, in Nirostha Ramayana, Niroshtha Ramayana, in Niroshtha Ramayana, Mallikarjun Bhatta also refrains from using labial sounds. This is a remarkable literary feat, as it is quite challenging to avoid a special place of articulation. Interestingly, similar compositions exist in some of our regional languages as well. Try this. Can you speak 5 sentences without using any labial sounds? Give it a try. All these varnas can be classified into two main categories: swaras, vowels, and vyanjanas, consonants. This type of classification is also found in other languages as well. Let us explore the further subdivisions of these two categories. Swaras. Swaras can be classified based on the duration kala of their pronunciation. They can categorized as short a, long a, or elongated a. These swaras require 1, 2, and 3 units of time respectively. The prolonged swara, which takes 3 units of time, is typically used when exclaiming or calling out to someone at a distance. Swaras can also be classified based on intonation. They are categorized as low, anudatta, high udatta, and combined swarita intonations. This classification is unique to the Vedas and is not found in classical literature such as the poetry of Kalidas. Swaras time short, long, elongated. Intonation low, high, combined. Do it yourself. To know more about swaras in Vedic chanting, refer to the following video. Link is given. Consonants. Consonants can be classified into two main categories based on the effort prayatna required for pronunciation. Alpa pranas require mild exhalation such as ka, ga, pa, and ba. Mahapranas require strong exhalation such as kha, kha, fa, and bha. Do it yourself. Select letters from your mother tongue and observe whether you can distinguish between Alpa prana, mild exhalation, and Mahaprana, strong exhalation, as seen in Sanskrit. Note that this distinction may not be present in all languages. Now, we can summarize the classifications of varnas as follows. Place of articulation: throat, palate, upper palate, teeth, lips, nasal. Swaras: time, short, long, elongated. Intonation: low, high, combined. Vyanjanas: effort, mild exhalation, strong exhalation. With this understanding, let us revisit the Varnamala, the garland of letters which we explored earlier. Can you identify the rationale behind its arrangement? What could be the guiding principle? We observe that the letters are systematically organized based on the Swara Vyanjana vowel consonant division. Swaras are arranged according to their duration kala. Similarly, Vyanjanas are classified based on their place of articulation sthana, and effort prayatna. First row contains all vowels arranged sequentially from short to long. It also includes additional sounds like anuswara and visarga. Second to sixth row contain consonants grouped according to their places of articulation sthana. For example, ka, kha, ga, gha, and nga are articulated in the throat kantha. Three last two rows classified based on effort prayatna as discussed earlier. Do it yourself. Examine the letters in your mother tongue and reflect on the following questions. How many letters are there in your mother tongue? What is the basis of their arrangement, if any? Does the arrangement follow a pattern similar to that of Sanskrit? How to pronounce and how not to? Paniniya Shiksha 30 to 33 outlines the characteristics of both a poor and an ideal reciter. Let us examine this classification. गीति शीघ्रीशरः कम्पी तथा लिखितपाठकः अनर्थज्ञोल्पकण्ठश्च षडेते पाठकाधमाः माधुर्यमक्षरव्यक्तिपदच्छेदस्तु सुस्वरः धैर्यं लयसमर्थं च षडेते पाठके गुणाः. Those who recite the Veda in a sing-song manner too quickly with a nodding of the head, use a written text at the time of recitation, do not know the meaning of passages read, and have a low voice are six kinds of bad reciters. Sweetness, clearness, separation of words, right accent, patience, and ability to observe time are six merits in a reciter. Translation by Manmohan Ghosh. Do it yourself. In your opinion, what are some additional qualities of a good reciter? List some common mistakes that people make while reciting. Conclusion. We have explored the significance of Shiksha in preserving the Vedas and examined the scientific classification of letters and their pronunciation as proposed by ancient scholars such as Panini. Let us conclude this chapter with an insightful verse from Paniniya Shiksha 25, which imparts guidance on proper pronunciation. व्याघ्रे यथा हरेत् पुत्रान् दंष्ट्राभ्यां न तु पीडयेत् भीतापतनभेदाभ्यां तद्वद्वर्णान् प्रयोजयेत्. As the tigress carries her cubs between two rows of teeth, taking care lest they could either get dropped or bitten, so should one pronounce the Vedic speech sound lest they could get dropped, that is, elided, or differentiated, that is, mispronounced. Translation by Manmohan Ghosh. An overview of Shiksha. Shiksha constituents sthanas, prayatnas, varnas, bahya, abhyantara, varnaswara, matra, bala, sama, santana, kantha, a, ka, kha, ga, gha, ha, visarjaniya, talu, I, cha, cha, ja, cha, ya, sha, मूर्धाम रो रो लो रो ट ठ ड ढ ण र ष दंत रू लू त थ द ध न ल स ओष्ठ उ व फ ब भ म उपध्वनिया नासिका. With the above mentioned 5 sthanas, Yanganama, Kanthatalo AI, Kantoshtha, O Dantoshtha, जिह्वामूलीय नासिका अनुस्वार ए आ ई विवर विवर विवार संवार श्वास नाद घोष अघोष अल्पप्राण महाप्राण उदात्त अनुदात्त स्वरित स्पृष्टा स्पृष्ट ईषत् स्पृष्ट विवर्त ईषत् विवर्त संवृत अ आ ई उ ऋ ऋ ए ऐ ओ औ अनुस्वारः विसर्जनीयः जिह्वामूलीयः उपध्मानीयः क ख ग घ ङ ञ च छ ज झ ञ ट ठ ड ढ ण त थ द ध न प फ ब भ म य र ल व श ष स ह 2.2 व्याकरण महती सूक्ष्मेक्षिका वर्तते सूत्रकारस्य Panini, the composer of sutras, had a very keen observation. Patanjali in his Mahabhashya expected learning outcomes. By the end of this session, learners will be able to define Vyakarana, describe the need and purpose of Vyakarana, analyze the process of word formation and derivation, appreciate the uniqueness of Sanskrit. Introduction. Would it not be difficult to imagine a life without language? Yes. Language enables us to express ourselves and stay connected with others. It is quite natural for us to express our thoughts in the language of our choice. We all began speaking our mother tongue before being introduced to other languages as we grew up. In this chapter, you will be introduced to the Sanskrit language. To understand Sanskrit, it is essential first to learn its grammar, known as Vyakaran. In general terms, grammar is a set of rules that guide the correct usage of words to ensure clear and effective communication. It also plays a crucial role in preventing linguistic distortion over time. In the case of our mother tongue, we often struggle to understand texts written just a few centuries ago due to linguistic evolution and changes. However, Sanskrit stands apart from this regard. Ancient Sanskrit texts such as the Ramayana and Mahabharata remain comprehensible even after thousands of years. How is this possible? The answer lies in the structured and systematic grammar of Sanskrit, which has preserved the language with remarkable consistency. Thus, learning Vyakarana not only enhances our understanding of Sanskrit but also grants us access to an invaluable treasure of ancient texts and wisdom. Do it yourself. Select a work composed in your mother tongue approximately 200 years ago. Are you able to understand the language? What changes do you observe between the older and the present forms? Consider aspects such as vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, and sentence structure. Literature review. Just like any other language has multiple grammarians, Sanskrit also has scholars such as Chandra, Indra, and Panini. The sage Panini composed the Ashtadhyayi, which is considered the most renowned grammatical work and serves as foundational text of Vyakarana. The Ashtadhyayi is a treatise comprising approximately 4,000 sutras spread across 8 Ashta chapters, Ashta Adhyayas. Using these sutras, the entire vocabulary of Sanskrit can be systematically generated. Since the Ashtadhyayi was composed in the form of concise sutras, it became necessary to elucidate their meanings. To serve this purpose, the sage Katyayana composed the Vartika and the sage Patanjali wrote an extensive commentary known as the Mahabhashya. The Ashtadhyayi is traditionally studied in conjunction with these two works. These three sages, Panini, Katyayani, and Patanjali, are collectively known as the Munitraya, the three sages. In later periods, numerous commentaries and sub-commentaries were written, further enriching the study of Sanskrit grammar. Thus, India has a long and profound intellectual tradition in the field of Vyakaran. Core tenets. What is Vyakarana? Let us begin by understanding the meaning of Vyakarana. In any language, thoughts can be expressed through sentences which are composed of words. A strong command of words enables one to construct sentences with precision and clarity. Therefore, Vyakarana primarily serves the following functions: differentiation of sadhu, well formed words, from asadhu, ill formed words; deriving words by combining roots, both verbal and nominal, with affixes to convey the intended meaning. For further details on verbal and nominal roots, refer to the subsequent sections. Patha, verbal root, plus T affix, Pathati, reads. Rama, nominal root, Sya affix, Ramasya, of Rama. Analyzing words by separating roots and affixes, which is the reverse of derivation. Ramasya, Rama plus Sya. Why learn Vyakaran? What is the purpose of differentiation, derivation, and analysis of words? The fundamental aspects of Vyakaranam. Patanjali in his Mahabhashya outlines 5 key objectives of Vyakarana. First, Raksha, preserving the Vedas by ensuring the correct use of words. 2. Uha, inference, adapting words appropriately to suit different contexts. 3. Agama, instruction. The Vedas prescribe the study of Vyakarana as a duty. 4. Laghu, conciseness, facilitating a quicker and more efficient understanding of language. See the next section. 5. Asandeha, removal of confusion, eliminating doubts and ensuring clarity in communication. How to learn Vyakarana? There are two primary approaches to learning any language. The first is to memorize words individually. However, given the vast number of words in Sanskrit, this method is impractical. Instead, Vyakarana provides a systematic way to understand and generate words through grammatical principles, making the learning process more structured and efficient. In his Mahabhashya, Patanjali narrates an interesting anecdote about the learning process of Vyakaran. Brahaspati attempted to teach Indra all the words individually over a span of 1,000 divine years, one divine year evaluating 360 human years. Yet he was unable to complete the task, despite Brahaspati, the preceptor of the gods, being the teacher and Indra, the king of gods, being the student. This method of learning proved impractical. Thus, learning a language by memorizing individual words is not a viable approach. Instead, Panini proposed a more systematic and efficient method, which provides a structured framework for understanding and generating words through grammatical principles. He instructs us to: Step 1. Break the sentences into words. Ramah pathati. Rama reads. So Ram plus pathati reads. Step 2. Within words, identify recurring sounds and analyze their meanings. Pathati reads. Pathitum, for reading. Pathitavyam, to be read. Pathakah, one who reads. The Pathidavan, one who has read. Patha, patha, to read, the action of reading. Pustakam, patitum, for reading a book. Jalam, patum, for drinking water. Lokan rakshitum, for protecting people. Geetam shrutum, for listening to a song. Nadim tartum, for crossing the river. Tum, for doing something. Step 3. Connect the repetitive sounds and the meaning. In the preceding examples, the word patha, which signifies an action, is referred to as a verbal root dhatu. Conversely, words like Rama are classified as nominal root Pratipadika, Pratipadika, which can be found in dictionaries. The verbal and nominal roots together are termed Prakruti base. Elements such as tum and sya, which are appended to a base, dhatu or pratipadika, are known as affixes pratyayas. Pratyayas, the word formed through the combination of a base and affixes is called pada. Prakriti base plus pratyaya affix leads to pada word. Dhatu verbal root plus pratyaya affix leads to pada word. Patha plus t is equal to pathati. Pratipadika nominal root plus pratyaya affix pada word. Rama plus sya, Ramasya. We can also apply this method in reverse. By combining these fundamental building blocks, we can generate words which in turn form sentences. This means that although the total number of words in Sanskrit is vast, the number of verbal roots and affixes is limited to a few thousand. By understanding these roots, affixes and their processes of their combination, we can master the science of word formation. This enables us to create new words as needed, eliminating the necessity of memorizing each word individually. Consequently, learning Sanskrit becomes significantly more concise. This principle of conciseness, known as Laghu, is one of the 5 primary purposes of Vyakaran. Pratyahara, Paninian, mnemonics. Now let us explore some distinctive features of Paninian grammar that contribute to its conciseness. According to tradition, at the conclusion of his cosmic dance, Lord Shiva played his hand drum, dhakka, 14 times to bless the sages. The sounds that emerged from these beats took the form of 14 sutras, known as Maheshwara Sutras. These 14 sutras encompasses all the Sanskrit letters, forming the foundation for Panini's grammatical framework as illustrated below. I undruluk e om I ouch haya varat lan yamangana nam jhavai gad dhash jab gad dash ख फ छ ठ थ च टतौ कपय श श सर हल. Do it yourself. Observe the arrangement of letters in the Maheshwara Sutras. Can you identify and underline the underlying principle governing their sequence? Find it out. In these sutras, the final letter ण, क, ङ and so on are not counted. Using these sutras, we can create mnemonics known as pratyaharas. For example, the abbreviation ach represents the letters from a to ch, When listing the implied letters of the abbreviation, the final letter of each sutra is excluded. Thus, Ach includes only A, I, U, Ru, Lu, A, Au, I. A, O, I and Au only. This means that the abbreviation Ach serves as a shorthand reference for all the vowels. So Ach means vowels. Mnemonics. Hal, H to L, all the consonants. Yam, Nya to Ma, nasal letters. In Sanskrit, when two letters are joined, Sandhi, it is called Sandhi, certain phonetic changes occur. However, the number of such changes is so vast that listing them all explicitly would require significant space. For instance, the number of such changes is so huge that it requires a large space to point out all such changes. For example, when E, U, Ru, and Lu are followed by any other vowel, transform into the consonants Y, R, L, V, respectively. For example, Su, Agata is equal leads to Swagata. Instead of describing this process in a lengthy manner, Panini concisely states that Ik will be replaced by Yana when followed by Ach. This system of mnemonics is one of the key reasons behind the conciseness of Vyakarana. Unique features of Sanskrit. Towards the end of this chapter, let us explore some unique features of Sanskrit. Free word order. In Sanskrit sentences, the order of words can be changed without altering the meaning. How is this possible? To understand this, consider the table below. In Sanskrit, the primary element of any sentence in the is the verb, which denotes an action. To complete the action, there are 6 participants, karakas needed. These are as follows: Karta, subject. Ramah hanti, Rama kills. Karma, object. Valinam, Rama kills Vali. Karana, instrument. Banena, Rama kills Vali with an arrow. Sampradana, receiver. Sugrivaya, Rama gives the kingdom to Sugriv. Apadana, point of separation. Vanath, Rama returned from the forest. Adhikarana, location. Nagare, Rama resides in a city. As you can see in English, particles such as in, from, and to are required to indicate the relationship between with the action. If the order of words is changed, the meaning of the sentence may also change, sometimes even conveying the opposite of what is intended. Rama kills Vali leads to Vali kills Rama. However, in Sanskrit, the affix is inherently attached to the word, indicating its specific role in the sentence. As a result, each word clearly denotes a particular participant, karaka. This means that all information regarding the mutual relationship between participants is embedded within the individual words themselves. Consequently, even if the word's order is altered, the meaning of the sentence remains intact. Ramah hanti valinam, valinam hanti Ramah, Ramah valinam hanti, valinam Ramah hanti. All these sentences mean the same thing: Ram kills Vali. Word generation, often. In Sanskrit, a vast number of new words can be coined by combining existing words. For example, when the word jala, water, is combined with the giver, it forms Jalada, meaning a cloud. If Jala is replaced with its synonyms, the resulting word will still convey the meaning of a cloud. This unique feature significantly enriches the Sanskrit vocabulary. Jala, water, plus the giver leads to Jala, the cloud. Vari plus the giver leads to Vari, the cloud. Ambu plus the giver leads to Ambu, the cloud. And Neera plus the giver, Neera, the cloud. Do it yourself. Coin synonyms for lotus by combining various synonyms of water with j bomb. You may refer to dictionaries for alternative words for water. For example, jala, water plus ja, bon leads to jalaja, lotus. Do you know? The ocean is a vast reservoir of water. By adding the word dhi meaning to hold or nidhi meaning reservoir to synonyms of water, we can create various synonyms for the ocean. The Subhashita Ratna Bha Ratna Bhandagara Subhashita Ratna Bhandagar Ratna Bhandagar, a collection of epigrams, contains an intriguing verse illustrating this concept. Upon hearing from his spies that Ram had built a bridge over the ocean, Ravan was utterly shocked and terrified. In disbelief, he opened all 10 of his mouths and exclaimed, "Has Ram truly constructed a bridge over the ocean?" Since Ravan had 10 mouths, he uttered 10 different synonyms for the ocean, one from each mouth. श्रुत्वा सागरबन्धनं दशशिराः सर्वैर्मुखैरेकदा तूर्णं पृच्छति वार्तिकान् सचकितो भीत्या परं सम्भ्रमात् बद्धः सत्यमपान्निधिर्जलनिधिः कीलालधीस्तो यधि पाथोधिर्जलधिः पयोधिरुदधिर्वारान्निधिर्वारिधिः. To find more such interesting verses, refer to the fourth prakarana of this text. And same thing is done in Ramcharitmanas by Goswami Tulsidas ji as well. Conclusion. In this chapter, we explored the significance of Vyakarana in preserving the Vedas and the Sanskrit language. We examined the mechanisms that contribute to the conciseness of Vyakarana and discussed some unique and fascinating aspects of Sanskrit. To gain access to the vast and rich literature of Sanskrit, studying Vyakarana is essential. It is no surprise that a well-known Sanskrit idiom states that even if one does not pursue extensive studies, one should at least learn Vyakarana. Yadyapi bahu nadhishe tathapi pathaputra Vyakaranam, as it forms the very foundation of the language. Overview of Vyakarana. Ramaha Ramo Ramaha, He Rama He Ramo He Ramaha, Ramam Ramo Raman, Ramena Ramabhyam Ramaihi, Ramaya Ramabhyam Ramebhyah, Ramat Ramabhyam Ramebhyah, रामाय रामयोः रामाणां रामे रामयो रामेषु प्रातिपदिक प्लस तद्धित विष्णु प्लस अन इज इक्वल टू प्रातिपदिक प्लस सुप वैष्णव प्लस सु वैष्णवः नामपद प्रातिपदिक प्लस स्त्री प्रत्यय वैष्णव प्लस निस इज इक्वल टू प्रातिपदिक प्लस सुप वैष्णवी प्लस सु इज इक्वल टू वैष्णवी नामपद धातु प्लस सनादि पठ प्लस सन इज इक्वल टू धातु प्लस तिन पिपठेश प्लस ती इज इक्वल टू पिपठिष्यति क्रियापद प्रातिपदिक प्लस सनादि पुत्र प्लस काम्यक काम्यच काम्यच इज इक्वल टू धातु प्लस तिम पुत्र काम्य प्लस ती इज इक्वल टू पुत्र काम्यति क्रियापद मेजर टॉपिक्स ऑफ व्याकरण सनाद्यंत सुबंत तद्धेतंत स्त्री प्रत्ययांत संधि विसर्ग एग्जाम्पल हरिस्त्राता यूनियन ऑफ लेटर्स 3 टाइप्स व्यंजन एग्जाम्पल सीट स्वर एग्जाम्पल देवालय कृदंत तिनंत कारक समास कंपाउंड वर्ड्स 4 टाइप्स द्वंद्व उभय पद प्रधान उभय पदार्थ प्रधान एग्जाम्पल रामकृष्ण बहुव्रीहि अन्य पदार्थ प्रधान एग्जाम्पल दीर्घकर्ण तत्पुरुष उत्तर पदार्थ प्रधान एग्जाम्पल राजपुरुष अव्ययी भाव पूर्व पदार्थ प्रधान एग्जाम्पल उपकृष्णम कारक विभक्तिज ऑल फॉर्म्स ऑफ नाउन डिक्लेंशन रामो राजमणि सदा विजयते रामं रमेशं भजे रामेणाभिहता निशाचरचमो रामाय तस्मै नमः रामान्नास्ति परायणं परतरं रामस्य दासोऽस्म्यहं रामे चित्तलयः सदा भवतु मे भो राम मामवतरम् now your verbs dhatu plus krut means patha plus nuol is equal to pratipadika plus sup pathaka plus su pathakah namapada then verbs then conjugation 2000 plus roots 10 different lakaras let occurs only in Vedas gachati goes harati takes away upasargas pradayah उपसर्गेण धात्वर्थो बलादन्यत्र नियते प्रहाराहार संहार विहार परिहारवत् अनुगच्छति follows आगच्छति comes अवगच्छति understands आहरति brings संहरति destroys विहरति roams प्रहरति kills beats. In this way, this is the overview of Vyakarana. Now 2.3 Nirukta प्रणमामि यास्कभास्करं योरुत्तः तमसः प्रकाशितपदार्थः यस्य भुवनत्रयीमिव गावः प्रकटां त्रयीं वितन्वति. I bow down to Yaska, who resembles the sun. As the sun removes the darkness of shades, light on objects padartha, Yaska removes the darkness of heart and sheds light on the meaning of words padartha. As the rays go of the sun enlighten all the three worlds, Bhuvanatrai, the exposition go of Yaska elaborates the meaning of the three Vedas Trai. Devayajvam, Devayajvan, Devayajvan in his commentary on Yaska's Nirukta expected learning outcomes. At the end of the lesson, the learners will be able to define Nirukta, describe the purpose of Nirukta, appreciate the three fundamental principles of deviation and the necessary precautions. Understand the contribution of Nirukta to linguistics. Introduction. In the previous lesson, you learned from Vyakaran and gained a fundamental understanding of the analysis and deviation of words using a grammatical framework of roots and affixes. However, Vyakaran has certain limitations. The roots of several words are not always immediately apparent. For example, we know that the word lekhaka, writer, is derived from the verbal root likh, to write. This understanding is provided by grammar, which offers a systematic list of roots and affixes along with the rules for combining them. However, consider the word vadhu, bride. At first glance, it appears to be derived from the root vad, to kill, which does not align with its meaning. How then can we correctly derive it? This is where Nirukta, the science of etymology, becomes essential. According to Nirukta, Vadhu originates from the root Vaha, to carry, as a bride is traditionally carried from her father's home to that of her husband. Due to a phonetic transformation, H changes to the, resulting in Madhu. In essence, we can contrast these two linguistic sciences as follows. 1. Vyakaran is the external Bahiranga analysis of a language, as it focuses on the structure of words, including their roots and affixes. 2. Nirukta is the internal Antaranga analysis of a language, as it examines the commonly accepted meanings associated with words. Do you know? He is the bearer of a burden only, the blockhead who, having studied, does not understand the meaning of the Veda. Whatever is learnt without its being understood is called mere cramming, like dry logs of wood on an extinguished fire. It can never illuminate. Nirukta 1.18, translation by Lakshman Sarup. These are the words of wisdom quoted by Yaska in his Nirukta. In the chapters on the Vedas, we observed that ancient education placed significant emphasis on memorization. However, mere rote learning was not sufficient, as highlighted by these verses. Understanding the meaning was equally essential to ascertain the correct meaning and application of the Vedas. 6 auxiliary disciplines known as Vedangas were developed, one of which is Nirukta. Literature review. The Vedas contain numerous rare and complex words. Many of these words are compiled in a dictionary-like work called Nighantu. Nirukta, authored by Yaska, is a commentary on this compilation. Nighantu categorizes words into synonyms, different words with the same meaning, homonyms, the same word with different meanings, and names of deities. Nirukta, in contrast, provides the etymology of these words, offering deeper insights into their meanings and usage. Do you know The Sanskrit vocabulary is incredibly rich. Nighantu lists nearly 100 synonyms for water. Sanskrit also contains words with multiple meanings. Yaska explains that the word go is derived from the root gum to go. Due to this derivation, various objects associated with movement are referred to as go. It can mean earth, cow, bowstring, sun, moon, and rays, making it an example of homonym. Core tenets. Purpose of Nirukta. What is the significance of learning Nirukta or etymology? Yaska provides the following reasons. 1. Understanding the Vedas. Nirukta aids in comprehending the Vedas by explaining their difficult words. Some critics, such as Kautsa, dismissed the Vedas as meaningless. It was Yaska who defended their significance against such views. 2. Preservation of the Vedas. By understanding the meanings of individual words, one can split the words of a hymn and prepare Padapatha, which ensures the proper preservation of the Vedas. As discussed in the introductory chapter on the Vedas, Padapatha plays a crucial role in maintaining textual accuracy. Complementing Vyakarana, Nirukta enhances the understanding provided by Vyakarana. While Vyakarana focuses on the external Bahiranga analysis of language, dealing with words and their structure, Nirukta offers an internal Antaranga analysis by delving into meanings. Just as words and meanings are inseparable, Vyakarana and Nirukta together provide a complete understanding of language. Purpose of Nirukta. Understand the meaning of the Vedas. Prepare Padapathas for the preservation of Vedic texts. Complement Vyakarana by providing insight into word meanings. Division of words. In the first chapter of Nirukta, 4 parts of speech are discussed: Nama, noun; Akhyata, verb; Upasarga, prefix; and Nipat, indeclinable. We are already familiar with nouns and verbs. Now let us explore prefixes and indeclinables. Prefixes are particles, syllables that are added before a word. They may enhance, modify, or completely change the meaning of the word. Consider the root ru, which means to take or to snatch. By adding different prefixes we derive words with distinct meanings. Word prefix added changed meaning. Prahara, pra, attacking; ahara, a, eating; samahara, some, destroying; vihara, we, roaming; parihara, pari, taking away. Finally, indeclinables are words that retain the same form and meaning regardless of their position in a sentence or the context in which they appear. Examples include iva, like, and nanu, indeed, and so on. 3 principles of etymology. Now, let us explore the principles of derivation as outlined in Nirukta. According to Nirukta, all words originate from a verbal root, implying that every word is fundamentally linked to an action. This forms the core premise of Nirukta. But how do we identify the appropriate verbal root to derive a word? To address this, 3 key principles are provided. 1. Pratyaksha, direct vritti. Generally, the root of a word is explicitly visible and aligns with its commonly understood meaning. In such cases, derivation is straightforward as the word originates directly from its visible root. Vyakarana also plays a crucial role in this process. Recall the example of the word lekhaka, writer, given in the beginning of the chapter. It is derived from the verbal root likha, to write. Here, both the form and meaning of the word correspond with each other. Word leads to root, leads to phonetic change. Gati, movement, leads to gum, to move, leads to m, omitted. Dana, gift, leads to da, to give, is no change. Peya, a drink, is from pa to the drink, a replaced by e. Second, paroksha, indirect vritti. Sometimes the visible root of a word does not correspond with its meaning. We have already seen the example of vadhu, bride. While the verbal root vadha, to kill, is clearly identifiable, it does not align with the meaning, as the word bride has no connection to the act of killing. In such cases, the word must be derived from the closest possible root while preserving its intended meaning. In this instance, vadhu can be derived from the verbal root vaha, to carry, as a bride is traditionally carried from her father's home to her husband's residence. Due to phonetic change, the sound ha transforms into dha. We will explore phonetic changes in the next section. Other examples illustrating this principle are as follows. Word, root and phonetic changes. Vadhu, bride, vaha, to carry, ha, to dha. Sindhu, river, syanda, to flow, ya, to e, da, dha, to dha. The to dha. Jyotish, light, dyuta, to shine, d, the, to ja, u, to o. Jyotish, dyuta, sindhu, syanda, vaha, vadhu. 3. Atiparoksha, distant or remote vritti. The final possibility is that the root has no direct or indirect connection to the word. However, the task of etymology should not be abandoned. Instead, even a partial similarity in a syllable or letter should be examined to establish a remote connection for derivation. For example, Nighantu is derived from sam, a, han, to arrange in order. Since Nighantu refers to a list of words arranged systematically, this seemingly distant derivation is accepted. In this case, the prefixes sam and a are removed, a new prefix ni is added, and the sound ha changes to gha. Another example is naraka, which is explained below. Word, root, phonetic change. Nighantu, a list of words arranged in order. Sam, a, han, to arrange in order. Some, a, and na omitted, h to gha. Naraka, hell, a place where there is not even the slightest joy. Na, not. Ram, to enjoy. Ka, a little. M is omitted. Naraka. From rum, M is omitted and R is taken, K is added, very little. Contribution to linguistics. There are four main branches of modern linguistics: phonetics, semantics, syntax, and morphology. In this section, we will examine the contribution of Nirukta to phonetics and morphology. Phonetics is the branch of linguistics that deals with sounds present in a language and they As mentioned earlier, Yaska was familiar with most phonetic changes recognized by modern linguistics, especially the following five changes because of which Nirukta is called Panchavidha, fivefold. Varnagama, anaptexis, anaptexis, inserting extra letters, has to smile, Hamsa, swan, M is added. Hus, hus to smile, Hamsa, swan, M is added. In Sanskrit, concepts related to brightness, fame, or joy are often associated with the color white. Since a swan is white, its name is derived from hus, meaning to smile. Do you know? Have you ever noticed that Hindi speakers often pronounce words like karma and dharma as karam and dharam, inserting an extra a sound between r and ma, removing the ending a sound? This phenomenon is an example of varnagama, anaptixis, and varnanasha, haplology, deletion, which we learn as the third phonetic change. Varna viparyaya, metathesis, transportation of letters. Himsa, to kill, simha, lion. S and H replace each other. Do you know Varanasi? Varanasi is also known as Banaras. In linguistics, sounds like V and B and Ana and Na are often considered similar. In this case, a phonetic transformation occurs where N and R swap positions and the ending I is dropped, resulting in Benaras from Varanasi. Varanasi, Benaras, RNNR. Varnanasha, haplology, deletion. Yachami, Yachami, Yami, Cha, deleted. Do you know? Haplology, the linguistic phenomenon where a repeated syllable is omitted, can be observed in English as well. For example, in the word gently, the LE sound from gentle plus li is dropped. Gently. So yachami, yami. Cho is deleted. Varnanas, haplology, deletion. 4. Varna vikara, change in the letter. Duta, to shine. Jyotish, D changes to J. The changes to J. Jyotish, Duta. 5. Dhatoho, Arthatishaya, far-fetched associations based on meaning. Samahan, to arrange in order. Nighantu. Semantics. Semantics is the study of the meaning of words and changes they undergo. Here we will explore two key observations made by Yaska. 1. Yaska recognized that different synonyms of the same word carry subtle variation in meaning. For example, the earth is called go, derived from gum meaning to go, because being on earth are constantly moving. Because beings on earth are constantly moving, earth itself is also moving. It is also called Prithvi because it is broad from Pratha, meaning to expand. Prithul, Prathitayash. 2. Apart from this, Yaska was also familiar with the concept of transference of meaning. This linguistic phenomenon occurs when a word extends its meaning beyond its original context. For example, the feet of animals are called padas since animals typically have four legs. A verse which consists of four quarters is also referred to as pada. For a deeper understanding of the concept of pada, refer to the chapter on Chandas. 3. Precautions. It is interesting to note that Nirukta allows scope for innovative derivations. However, caution must be exercised to ensure that the fundamental rules are not disregarded, as doing so would undermine the very purpose of Nirukta. Let us now examine some of the precautionary measures that should be observed. 1. The primary caution is in derivation is to never overlook the context. For example, consider the homonym andhas, which can mean both food and darkness. The appropriate etymology varies depending on its contextual usage. Similarly, the word Saindhava can refer to either a horse or salt, further emphasizing the importance of contextual interpretation in derivation. Second, a person who is not well versed in Vyakaran is not fit to study Nirukta. As previously noted, Nirukta and Vyakaran complement each other, making a foundational understanding of Vyakaran essential for the study of Nirukta. Conclusion. We have explored the role of Nirukta in understanding the precise meaning of Vedic words. We highlighted how Vyakaran and Nirukta complement each other and examined the three fundamental principles of derivation as outlined by Yaska. Finally, we established that Nirukta is not merely concerned with the derivation of Vedic words but has also made significant contributions to the field of linguistics. Overview of Nirukta. Panchavidham Niruktam. Anaptixis, metathesis, change in phoneme syllable, remote connection, haplology deletion. Anaptixis वर्णानामागमः हंसः हंस मेटाथेसिस वर्णविपर्ययः सिंह चेंज इन फोनेमे सिलेबल वर्णविकारः मेघः हेप्लोलॉजी डिलीशन वर्णनाशः त्रिचः रिमोट कनेक्शन धातोः अतिशयः निघण्टो. Next chapter 2.4 छन्दस् क्षीराब्धेरमृतं यद्वद्धृतं देवैः सदा नवैः छन्दोब्धे पिङ्गलाचार्यैश्छन्दोऽमृतं तथोद्धृतम्. As the gods along with demons extracted the nectar from the milky ocean, Acharya Pingal extracted the nectar of Chandas from the ocean of the Vedic literature. Hemachandra, in his commentary on Pingala's Chandas Sutra, expected learning outcomes. At the end of the lesson, learners will be able to define Chandas, explain the purpose of Chandas, count syllables, aksharas and matras in a poem, identify various types of chandas, recognize the contribution of chandas in mathematics. Introduction. Do you enjoy the rhythm of a song? Hardly anyone would say no. In a broader sense, It is the rhythm of verses that we will explore in this lesson. We derive pleasure from the structured arrangement of syllables. Chandas is the study of this pattern, also known as meter or prosody. It encompasses both Vedic hymns and classical poetry, such as that of Kalidas. It is important to note that Chandas is the discipline that studies Chandas, meter, or prosody. We have seen that Chandas refers to the arrangement of syllables that brings us joy. Interestingly, the words Chandra, moon, and Chandas share a common root, Chanda, to delight, Chanda, to delight. Just as the sight of the moon rising in the sky evokes joy, so too does the rhythmic beauty of a well structured meter. Story: Enchanting power of Chandas. The Puranas describe that the great serpent Shesha bears the earth upon his head, upon his hood. Once Shesha took the form of a small snake with an intention to roam on earth. As he was enjoying his trip, his eternal enemy, the eagle, Garuda, caught him. He carried him to a mountain near the seashore and asked him for his last wish. As his last wish, the snake wanted to impart his knowledge to a disciple. Garuda agreed and became his disciple. Shesha began to teach him melodious meters. Garuda forgot his motive and he was enchanted by the rhythmic pattern and melody of the meters. Finally, Shesha set a verse in the meter known as Bhujanga Prayat, the moment of a snake. It might have been a verse like the following one. हरेर्नाम सौख्यं हरेर्नाम मुख्यं हरेर्नाम भव्यं हरेर्नाम जाप्यं जप्यं हरेर्नाम चित्वा हरेर्नाम गीत्वा भुजङ्गप्रयातं भुजङ्गप्रयातम्. The name of Hari, Lord Vishnu, is joy. The name of Hari is supreme. The name of Hari is great. The name of Hari is to be chanted. While listing the names of Hari, the serpent ran away. While singing the names of Hari, the serpent ran away. As Garuda was still immersed in the melody of this verse, Shesha quickly slipped towards the sea. Garuda after a while realized that Shesha was not there and called out to him that he had cheated. But Shesha reminded him that he mentioned twice that he was going away. Prayatam, Bhujanga Prayatam, and it was Garuda who did not mind it as he was lost in the melody. In this way, Shesha was free to go. Pingala Pradeepa, a commentary on Prakruta Pingala Sutra. Prakruta Pingala Sutra. Literature review. An authoritative exposition on Chandas is the Chanda Sutra, composed by the sage Pingala. Pingala's work consists of approximately 300 sutras spread over 8 chapters. He provides an explanation of both Vedic and classical meters. Additionally, the Chanda Sutra introduces fundamental mathematical concepts including binary numbers, sequences, and combinatorial mathematics. For a more detailed exploration of the mathematical aspects of Chandas, refer to the final section of this chapter. Do you know? Pascal's triangle, an important mathematical concept, was known to Halayudha, who commented on Pingala's work around the 10th century CE. For further details, refer to the following video. Link is given. Core tenets. Importance of Chandas. We need Chandas due to the following reasons. Chandas helps in understanding the structure of Vedic hymns, making them easier to learn and recite with clarity. Metrical compositions are easier to memorize, which is why even dictionaries like Amar Kosha were composed in verse. This highlights the role of Chandas in traditional pedagogy. Since the syllable count in a meter is fixed, it ensures that no syllable is added or omitted, thereby preserving the integrity of the Vedic texts. In classical poetry, poets employed specific meters to add melody, rhythm, and beauty to their compositions. Chandas thus plays a crucial role in effective expression, allowing poets to convey emotions and ideas with precision. Having understood the significance of meters, let us now explore the prominent meters found in the Vedas. Prominent Vedic meters. Have you ever observed the number of lines in Sanskrit verses? These verses typically consist of four quarters known as padas, feet. However, in the case of Vedic hymns, the number of padas can vary, usually ranging between 3 to 5. Each pada contains a specific number of syllables known as aksharas. Now, let us learn how to identify aksharas with an example. An akshara refers to a single vowel, swara, or a vowel followed by one or more consonants, vyanjanas, anuswara, or visarga, h. Ha. The primary factor in counting an akshar is the vowel. The table below illustrates the division of syllables in the first hymn of the Ishavasya Upanishad. As we can see, the hymn consists of four padas, each containing 8 syllables. Original hymn breaking of aksharas, number of aksharas. Ishavasyamidam sarvam. Ishavasyamidam sarvam. 8 number of aksharas. Yat kinch jagatyam jagat. Yat kinch kincha jagat. Yat kincha jagat yam jagat. 8. तेन त्यक्तेन भुञ्जीथा ते नथ यक ते न मोयि जीथा मा गृधक कस्य स्विद्धनं मा गृधक कस्य स्विद्धनं. 8. Now that we have understood the fundamental concepts of pada and akshara, let us explore the 7 prominent meters found in the Vedas. Meter, total number of syllables, total number of padas, syllable in each pada. Gayatri 24, 3, 8, 8, 8. Pushnik 28, 3, 8, 8, 12. Anushtup 32, 4, 8, 8, 8, 8. Brihati 36, 4, 8, 8, 8, 12. Pankti 40, 5, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8. Trishtup 44, 4, 11, 11, 11, 11. Jagati 48, 4, 12, 12, 12, 12. As you can see, each succeeding meter is formed by adding 4 syllables to the preceding one. In this way, all these meters are interconnected. Do it yourself. Can you identify the meter is used in the hymn cited above? Can you break the syllables and determine the meter used in the following hymn of the Rigveda 10.191.3? Samano mantras samitis samani samanam manas sahachittamesham samanam mantram abhimantraye vassamane navo havisha juhomi. Classical meters. Until now, we have explored Vedic meters. What distinguishes Vedic meters from classical ones? To understand this difference, let us go through the following activity. Do it yourself. Try to chant the Vedic hymn given below. It follows the Jagati meter, with each pada containing 12 syllables. Observe whether the hymn creates a musical effect. Asme Indro Varuno Mitro Aryama Dyumnam Yachantu Mahesharma Sapratha Avadhram Jyotiradite Rutavruddho Devasya Shlokam Savitur Manamahe. Now try to chant the following classical poem, which is composed in a classical meter and also contains 12 syllables in each pada. Na tato na mata na bandhur na data na putro na putri na prutyo na bharta na jaya na vidya na vrittir mamaiva gatistvam tvameka bhavani. What difference do you notice in the chanting of these two verses? The second can be sing, the second can be sung, and first we cannot sing. It is clear that in the Vedic hymns, only the number of syllables is counted. On the other hand, in classical poetry, the pattern of short and long syllables is also considered, creating a specific rhythm as illustrated in the story of Shesha and Garuda. Now, how can we differentiate between short and long syllables? The following rules apply. Short is syllable contains short vowels, example a, no, he. Long L means L syllable contains a long vowel, example a, sa, re. Followed by a joint consonant, example ma in mantri, followed by anuswara or visarga ha in hamsa. The last syllable of pada can be optionally taken as long, example in the example given below. Let us find out L and S means long and short in the following verse. Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva tvameva bandhuscha sakha tvameva tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Tva short, me long, va short, ma long, ta long, cha short, pi short, ta long. Tva short, me long, va long, because we take a pause there. Tva short, me long, va short, ban long, dush long, cha short, sa short, kha long, tva short, me long, va long. Twa short, me long, wa short, with long, ya long, dre short, we short, nam long, twa short, me long, wa long, twa short, me long, wa short, sir long, wam long, ma short, they long, wa short, they long, wa long. The last syllable of of a pad can be taken as long. In this verse, the arrangement of long and short syllables remains consistent across all padas. From the chanting of this verse, it becomes evident that the specific arrangement of long and short creates a distinct rhythm. This characteristic serves as a key distinction between Vedic and classical meters. Mathematical concepts. We have learned that a meter consists of a specific number of padas with each pada containing a fixed number of syllables, which can be either long L or short S. Suppose we want to create a meter in which each pada contains 3 syllables. Can you determine the possible number of combinations for one pada? This is the standard problem in combinatorial mathematics. In this case, there are 6 possible combinations: long, 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 short, long, short, 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 long, short, long, long. Now, what about meters with 4, 5 or even more syllables? The Chanda Sutra of Pingala provides rules to determine the number of possible combinations in such cases. Do you know? To learn more about Pingal's mathematical discoveries, watch the following lecture. Conclusion. In this chapter, we explored the role of chandas in preserving the Vedas and enhancing expression in poetry. We highlighted the differences between Vedic and classical meters. Moreover, Pingala's Chanda Sutra contains several fundamental mathematical concepts. Thus, the study of chandas is not only significant for poetics but also intellectually stimulating for those with a mathematical inclination. Jyotish. Veda 2.5, next chapter, Jyotish. Dyut, Dyu, the becomes Jo. वेदा हि यज्ञार्थमभिप्रवृत्ताः कालानुपूर्वा विहिताश्च यज्ञाः तस्मादिदं कालविधानशास्त्रं यो ज्योतिषं वेद स यज्ञान्. Vedas elaborate on the yajnas, and yajnas are enjoined with reference to a particular time. Jyotish is the shastra which helps in determining the time, and hence one who knows Jyotish truly knows the yajnas. Lagadha in Vedanga Jyotish. Expected learning outcomes. At the end of the lesson, learners will be able to define Jyotish, describe the purpose and scope of Jyotish, understand basic concepts of a traditional calendar, Panchanga, appreciate the 3 branches of Jyotish, articulate the contribution of Jyotish to astronomy and mathematics. Introduction. What comes to mind when you read the title of this lesson? Is it astrology or horoscopes? If so, then you may not have fully understood what Jyotish encompasses. Jyotish is not merely concerned with astrology or horoscopes, It also involves the study of space, planets, and stars, which are crucial for time calculation. As a Vedanga, Jyotish primarily focuses on determining the appropriate time for performing Vedic yajnas. In ancient times, the calculation of time was based on the movement of planets and stars. Therefore, close observation of celestial bodies became essential for conducting yajnas. This observation eventually evolved into the scientific discipline known as Jyotish. Do you know what does the word Jyotish mean in Sanskrit? The word Jyotish refers to light, which in turn signifies the usual naturally luminous bodies visible in the sky. Since this Shastra calculates time based on the positions of these celestial bodies, it is called Jyotish. For the etymology of Jyotish, see page 78. Literature review. Right from the Vedic texts, we find numerous references to stars, planets, and comets. Our Itihasas, the Ramayana and Mahabharata, are also rich in references to celestial bodies and their positions in the sky. The text Vedanga Jyotish, composed by Lagadha, is regarded as a foundational work on Jyotish. In later periods, several scholars incorporated advanced mathematical principles into Jyotish, among them Aryabhatta, Varahamitra, and Nilakantha Somayajin authored some of the most celebrated works. Aryabhatta, Aryabhatiya, Varahamitra, पंचसिद्धांतिका, बृहत संहिता, नीलकंठ सोमयाजिन, तंत्र संग्रह, आर्यभटीय आर्यभटीयाभ्यास भाष्य, आर्यभटीय भाष्य, सिद्धांत दर्पण. Core tenets. Need for Jyotisha. In the chapter of Kalpa, we will learn about various daily, monthly, and seasonal rituals prescribed by the Vedas, which must be performed on specific days and at specific times. Jyotisha determines the appropriate timing for these rituals. Additionally, knowledge of season, time, and directions is essential for everyday activities such as agriculture, trade, and navigation. A calendar is also necessary for organizing daily activities. All of this clearly highlights the significance of Jyotisha. Day and time of the Vedic rituals, agriculture, trade, navigation, and calendar Panchanga. Let us now explore a few fundamental concepts that will help us appreciate the traditional calendar known as Panchanga. Basics of Panchanga: Rashi and Rashi Chakra, zodiac. At night, we can observe numerous stars in the sky. When viewed together, these stars form distinct shapes known as Rashis. For instance, Vrishchika Rashi resembles a scorpion. There are 12 such prominent Rashis in the sky. By drawing an imaginary line connecting these Rashis, we can visualize a vast circular path referred to as the Rashi Chakra, zodiac wheel. The sun traverses one Rashi in approximately 1 month 30 days. Thus, it takes nearly a year to complete one full cycle of the Rashi Chakra, a duration known as one solar year, Saura Varsha. Sun, Earth, धनु, वृश्चिक, तुला, कन्या, सिंह, कर्क, मिथुन, वृषभ, मेष, मीन, कुंभ, मकर. Nakshatra. When observed from Earth, the entire sky can be divided into 27 equal sections, each based on a prominent star or group of stars known as nakshatras. The moon takes approximately 27 days to complete one full cycle through all these nakshatras. This period is referred to as one lunar month, Chandra Masa. A lunar year, Chandra Varsha, consists of 12 such lunar months. Do you know? Watch the following video to understand the concept of Rashi Chakra and Nakshatra. Additionally, use apps like Sky View and Stellarium to observe the sky and locate the Rashi Chakra and Nakshatras. Do you know? Unlike the Gregorian calendar, which does not follow a specific system for naming months, Jyotish adheres to a well-defined rule. Indian months, masas, are named based on the nakshatra closest to the moon on the full moon Purnima day. For instance, during the month of Chaitra, the moon is nearest to either Chitra or Swati nakshatra on Purnima. Let us now explore the names of a few more months along with their corresponding nakshatras. Nakshatra Masa, Kritika and Rohini, Kartika, Vishakha and Anuradha, Vaishakha, Jeshtha and Mula, Jeshtha, Paksha. On Amavasya, new moon day, the sun and moon are in conjunction, making the moon invisible from the earth. From the following day, the visible size of the moon begins to increase until it becomes fully visible on Purnima, full moon day. This period is called Shukla Paksha, the bright fortnight. Conversely, alter Conversely, after Purnima, the moon gradually decreases in size until it becomes completely invisible. On the next Amavasya, when the sun and moon are once again in conjunction. This period is known as Krishna Paksha, the dark fortnight. Together, these two Pakshas constitute one lunar month, Chandramasa. Tithi, lunar day. On Amavasya, the sun and moon have 0 degrees of angular separation. Each day, the moon moves approximately 13 degrees, while the sun moves about 1 degree within the nakshatra chakra. Consequently, their angular separation increases by 12 degrees each day. When the angular separation is between 0 and 12 degrees, the tithi is Pratipada. When it is between 12 and 14 degrees, the tithi is Dvitiya. When it is between 24 to 36 degrees, the tithi is Tritiya, and so on. Each tithi is thus defined as the time when the angular separation between the sun and the moon to increase by 12 degrees. Since the full cycle of 360 degrees is divided into these 12-degree increments, there are 15 tithis in each paksha, making a total of 30 tithis in a lunar month. Adhika Masa. So far, we have understood the concepts of Tithi, Paksha, Masa, and Varsha as used in the traditional Panchanga Hindu calendar. You may have noticed that there is a slight discrepancy between lunar months, which last approximately 27 days, and solar months, which last around 30 days. To reconcile this difference, an additional Adhika lunar month is inserted into the Panchanga approximately every third year. This intercalary month is known as Adhika Mas, ensuring the alignment of lunar and solar months. Do it yourself. What is your favorite festival? Refer to a Panchanga and identify the Tithi, Paksha or Masa in which this festival is celebrated. Branches of Jyotisha. So far, we have explored some fundamental concepts of Jyotisha that help us appreciate the Panchanga. Now, let us examine the scope of Jyotisha, which is divided into three branches, skandhas. One, Siddhanta Ganita. This branch deals with mathematical computation based on planetary positions. 2. Samhita. It is a compilation covering a wide range of subjects including architecture, agriculture, medicine, and omens. 3. Hora. It is a study of individual horoscopes and predictions about the future. In modern times, Jyotisha is often misunderstood as a superstitious belief system focused solely on horoscopes and predictions. However, as we can see, these aspects form just a part of a much broader and scientifically structured discipline. Siddhanta or Ganita. It mainly deals with various measures of time, arithmetics and algebra, the position of celestial bodies, and the use of instruments, yantras, to determine these positions. Samhita. Jyotisha also covers various miscellaneous subjects collectively known as Samhita. Here are a few selected topics from this branch. Jataka. Sasya Jataka. Cultivation of crops. Garbhalakshana. Dharana and Pravarshana. Garbhalakshana, Dharana and Pravarshana, rainfall. Chara, effects of planetary movements. Shakuna, omens. Vastu Vidya, architecture. Angavidya, prediction based on limbs. Do it yourself. To explore the content list of Varahamitra's Brihat Samhita, a significant Samhita text, refers to the following link. Refer to the following link. The link is given. List the topics from this work that you find interesting and noteworthy. Choose any one topic and make detailed notes on it. Hora. Hora deals with prediction based on the result of our karma, past deeds. Hora can be based on the planetary positions at the time of the following: birth Jataka, questioning Prashna. It is important to note that only Hora deals with predictions. The other two branches of Jyotisha serve as a vast repository of knowledge on astronomy and related disciplines. Therefore, studying Jyotisha is a whole highly renounced, highly rewarding experience. To substantiate this, we will explore its contributions to the field of astronomy and mathematics. Do it yourself. Watch the following video to learn more about the three branches of Jyotisha. Contribution of Jyotisha to astronomy and mathematics. In the lesson of Kalpa, we will explore how the Shulba Sutra laid the foundation for Indian geometry. Similarly, Siddhanta texts explain calculations of planetary positions, eclipses, and other astronomical phenomena. It is therefore no surprise that these texts have made significant contributions to the fields of astronomy and mathematics. Do you know? Ancient texts are rich with stories explaining astronomical phenomena. One such story describes how Chandra, the moon, married the 27 daughters of Daksha. However, he favored Rohini over his other wives, which angered Daksha. As a result, Daksha cursed Chandra to wane and eventually perish. Seeking redemption, Chandra performed intense austerities and pleased Lord Shiva, who granted him a boon that he would regain his brilliance as he waned. This mythological narrative symbolizes an astronomical cycle, illustrating why Chandra waxes during Shukla Paksha, bright fortnight, and wanes through Krishna Paksha, dark fortnight. From the story, we can infer the following astronomical insights. Chandra's fondness for Rohini symbolizes the phenomenon of lunar occultation. Rohini is the star that is most frequently occulted by the moon. The moon passes through 27 nakshatras, which are metaphorically referred to as his wives in the story. This cycle constitutes one lunar month, comprising the Krishna and Shukla Pakshas. Do it yourself. Research other astronomical stories. For example, explore the story of Daksha, Shiva, and Margashirsha Nakshatra. Let us explore a few remarkable contributions of Jyotisha. This, however, is just the tip of the iceberg. Value of pi. The verse 2.10 of the Aryabhatiya provides approximate value of pi as 3.1416. चतुरधिकं शतमष्टगुणं द्वाषष्टिस्तथा सहस्राणाम् आयुतद्वयविष्कम्भस्यासन्नो वृत्तिपरिणाहः. This verse instructs us to multiply 104 by 8 and then add 62,000 to obtain the approximate circumference of a circle with a diameter of 20,000. Based on this calculation, the value of pi can be determined as pi is equal to circumference divided by diameter. 62,832 divided by 20,000 is equal to 3.1416. Eclipses. Aryabhat provides the reason for eclipses in the following verse. Chadayati shashi suryam shashinam cha mahati bhutchaya. This verse explains that the moon obscures the sun, causing a solar eclipse, while the vast shadow of the earth covers the moon, resulting in a lunar eclipse. Rotation of the earth. Aryabhat provides an explanation for the rotation of earth. अनुलोम गतिर्नौस्थः पश्यत्यचलं विलोमगं यद्वत् अचलानि भानि तद्वत् समपश्चिमगाने लङ्कायाम्. This verse explains that a person in a moving boat perceives stationary objects as moving backward. Similarly, when observed from Earth, stationary stars appear to move westward due to the Earth's rotation. Yantras. Have you ever visited Jantar Mantar? Raja Savai Jai Singh constructed 5 such observatories across India. These observatories house various yantras that were used to study and observe astronomical phenomena. Do it yourself. To learn more about various yantras and their function, watch the following videos. Samrat Yantra, Rama Yantra, Mishra Yantra. Conclusion. In this chapter, we explored how Jyotisha evolved as a Vedanga to determine the appropriate time for performing Vedic yajnas. However, due to its practical applications in daily activities such as agriculture, trade, and navigation, it gradually developed into an independent field. We also learned that Jyotisha is not merely concerned with horoscopes and predictions but has made significant contributions to astronomy and mathematics. Next chapter 2.6 Kalpa. Kalpo Veda Vihitanam Karmanam Anupurvena Kalpana Shastram. Kalpa is the Shastra which tells the sequence of actions prescribed by the Vedas. Rigveda Prati Shakhya. Rigveda Prati Shakhya. Expected learning outcome. At the end of the lesson, learners will be able to define Kalpa and its 4 divisions, describe the purpose and relevance for each division, appreciate the contribution of Shulva Sutra to mathematics. Introduction. As we know, the Brahman portions of the Vedas prescribe numerous rituals, but these are not always presented in a structured sequence. To address this, Kalpa provides systematic manuals outlining the proper procedure for performing Vedic rituals. Kalpa texts are composed in sutra style, making them concise and easy to memorize. Therefore, knowledge of Kalpa is essential for the accurate performance of Vedic rituals. As discussed earlier, 3 of the Vedangas, Shiksha, Vyakarana, and Nirukta, are directly concerned with the language of the Vedas. Chandas focuses on the metrical structure of Vedic hymns, meanwhile, Jyotisha and Kalpa are directly related to the performance of Vedic rituals, with Jyotisha determining the appropriate timing and Kalpa providing the correct sequence of rituals. Vedangas. Language. Shiksha, phonetics, Vyakarana, grammar, Nirukta, etymology. Performance. Chandas, meter, Jyotisha, astronomy, Kalpa, ritual, manuals. Literature review. Based on their subject matter, Kalpasutras are classified into four categories. Shrauta Sutra, Vedic Yajnas; Shulva Sutra, construction of fire altars for yajnas; Grihya Sutra, domestic and daily periodical rites; Dharma Sutra, performance of duties at individual community level. So, Shrauta Sutra, Shulva Sutra, Grihya Sutra, Dharma Sutra. We will explore significant texts from each category in the following sections. Shrauta Sutra. In Vedic rituals, fire altars, Vedis, play a crucial role. There are three primary types of fire altars: Ahavaniya, square shaped; Gargapatya, circular; Dakshina, semicircular. The Shrauta Sutra outline the procedures for performing yajnas, sacrificial rituals, that use fire from the three primary altars. These rituals are known as Shrauta Yajnas. Each Veda has one or more Shrauta Sutras associated with it, detailing the specific roles and responsibilities of the Ritvik priests designated for that Veda. As previously discussed, there are four types of Ritviks, each corresponding to one of the four Vedas. Now, let us learn from some popular Shrauta Yajnas. Agnihotra is a Shrauta Yajna performed twice daily at sunrise and sunset. The principal deities, Devatas, invoked during this ritual are Agni, fire, at sunrise, and Surya, sun, at sunset. It is believed that a household where Agnihotra is regularly performed remains under the protection of Agni. Darshapurnamasa is a Shrauta Yajna performed on the days of the new moon Amavasya and full moon Purnima. It consists of 6 subsidiary yajnas, with 3 conducted during the new moon and 3 during the full moon. Jyotishtoma, also known as Somayaga, is a Shrauta Yajna in which Soma juice is the primary offering. This ritual extends over 6 days, and it is believed that performing it leads to the attainment of Swarga, heaven. Shrauta Yajnas can be categorized into the following types based on their purpose and scale. Shrauta Yajnas can also be classified based on the types of offering made, such as rice cakes, milk, soma, and others. They can be categorized into Prakriti and Vikruti Yajnas. Prakriti Yajnas are those that include all the prescribed procedures in their entirety. Vikruti Yajnas are those that contain only a partial procedure. To perform them, contain details must be borrowed from the corresponding Prakriti Yajna. This borrowing process is known as Atidesha. We will explore the concept of Atidesha in greater depth in the chapter of Mimamsa. Shrauta, classified as Yajna, Ahuti is offered with Vashat, and Homa, Ahuti is offered with Swaha. Then one Vashat Yajna, then that Ishti Yajna. 4 Ritviks offer Annamaya, Darshapurna. Pashu Yajna, 6 Ritviks offer Pashu, Agni Somiya, Pashu Yaga. Then Soma Yajna, 16 Ritviks offer Soma Jyotishtoma. Then second is divided into two. Prakriti yajna yatra samagrangopadesha sa prakriti विकृति यत अंगानि प्राप्नोति सा प्रकृति वैकृति यज्ञ विकृति यज्ञ केषाञ्चिदेवाङ्गानामुपदेशो विद्यते यत्र सा विकृतिः प्रकृतितः अंगानि यत्र प्राप्यन्ते सा विकृतिः. And then third, हवीर यज्ञ अग्निहोत्रम दर्शपूर्णमास आग्रयण चातुर्मास्य सौत्रामणि निरूढ़ पशु and पिंड पितृ यज्ञ. पाक यज्ञ अनुपासन वैश्वदेव पावन मासी श्राद्ध अष्टक श्रावण शूलागव सोमयज्ञ अग्निष्टोम अत्यग्निष्टोम षोडशी वाजपेय अतिरात्र आप्तोयाम. In this way, Shrauta Sutra is divided. Now, Shulva Sutra. The Vedic sacrifices are conducted in fire altars, cities that have layered structures and various geometric shapes. The Shulva Sutras serve as manuals for constructing these altars and are considered an appendix to the Shrauta Sutras. Some of the well-known Shulva Sutras include Bodhayana Shulva Sutra, Apastamba Shulva Sutra, Manava Shulva Sutra, Katyayana Shulva Sutra. Do you know? The word Shulva means a cord or rope, which was traditionally used to measure different parts of the altar during its construction. The cities fire altars described fire altars chittis. The chittis fire altars described in these treatises take various geometric shapes such as squares, triangles, rhombuses, and pentagons. Some altars are also designed in the shapes of animals or birds, including the tortoise. Shena means hawk and Kanka means heron. Do you know? Archaeological evidence of a Shena hawk-shaped chitti from the 1st century CE has been discovered in Purola in Uttar Kashi. As we have seen earlier, the three fires used in Shrauta Yajnas have distinct shapes: circular, semicircular, and square. However, there is a rule that all three altars must occupy equal area. To construct different shapes with the same given area, a specific procedure is required. This procedure is provided by the Shulva Sutras. It is important to note that all such constructions are carried out using basic instruments such as cords. In addition to these construction techniques, the Shulva Sutras contain numerous geometrical propositions, some of which are outlined below. However, it is worth noting that this represents only a small fraction of their extensive mathematical knowledge. The diagonals of a rectangle bisect each other, dividing the rectangle into 4 parts. The diagonals of a rhombus bisect each other at right angles. In an isosceles triangle, the line joining the vertex through the midpoint of the opposite side divides the triangle into two equal halves. A quadrilateral formed by the lines joining the midpoints of the sides of a square is itself a square with an area equal to half of the original square. A triangle formed by joining the endpoints of any side of a square to the midpoint of the opposite side has an area equal of the square. Do you know? In Bodhayan Shulva Sutra, we find a well known mathematical concept that is now popularly referred to as the Pythagorean theorem. Additionally, the text provides an approximate value for the square root of 2 and pi. Gruhya Sutra. Next section. These texts serve as manuals for performing the domestic Griya rituals, unlike the Shrauta Yajnas, which are conducted using fire from the three altars mentioned earlier. Domestic rituals are performed in a single fire altar known as Gargapatya. Additionally, the Griya Sutras specifically focus on the 16 samskaras and the 5 Mahayajnas. Let us explore them further. 5 Mahayajnas. A householder is expected to perform the following 5 Mahayajnas daily. Mahayajna, showing reverence and gratitude to and means Devayajna, gods like Agni, by performing yajnas. Brahmana Yajna, ancient sages learning the Vedas. Pitru Yajna, ancestors performing Shraddha. Manusha Yajna, guests serving the guests. Bhuta Yajna, all beings offering to all beings. Brahmana Yajna, Pitru Yajna, Deva Yajna, Bhuta Yajna, Pitru Yajna, Manusha Yajna. From the 5 Mahayajnas we learn to respect our culture and revere gods and nature, engagement with literature and exploration of Indian knowledge systems, loving remembrance of our ancestors for their contributions, a spirit of coexistence, mutual respect and harmony in our interactions, gratitude and compassion for all living beings. It is evident that reverence, gratitude, faith and compassion form the core principles of the 5 Mahayajnas. 16 Samskaras. Samskaras are cultural and religious rituals observed at different stages of our life, numbering 16 in total. You may be familiar with some, such as Namakaran, naming ceremony, Vivaha, marriage, and Antyeshti, last rites. Samskaras can be understood as rituals that prepare an individual for a particular stage or purpose in life. For example, the sacred thread ceremony Upanayan marks the initiation of a person into Vedic studies. Let us learn more about the 16 samskaras. Pre-birth samskaras. Garbhadhan, a ritual performed with an intention of conceiving a virtuous child who will uphold and carry forward the lineage of knowledge and follow the path of dharma. Pumsavan, a sacred ceremony where the couple invokes blessings for the conception of a healthy child. guided by specific mantras. Garbhadhan and Punsavan are very important. Simantonnayan, a ritual in which the husband ceremonially parts the wife's hair 3 times after the first trimester of pregnancy. Trimester of pregnancy. Variations depending on family traditions. Once the child is born, the following sanskaras are performed. After birth sanskaras. Jatakarma, the father welcomes the child by touching the baby's lips with honey and clarified butter. Namakarana, the naming ceremony traditionally performed on the 11th day after birth. Though the exact timing may vary based on local conditions, the child's name is chosen based on the ideal envisioned for them. Nish- Nishkramana, the first time the child is taken outside the home, the child is shown the sun while Vedic hymns are chanted, accompanied by the sound of a conch. Annaprasana, the introduction of solid food to the child, usually after 6 months of birth. This ceremony is widely observed in many households. Karnaveda, the ritual of ear piercing, typically performed when the child is between 1 and 5 years old. This practice is still common today. Chudakarna, the tonsuring of the child's head, leaving only a tuft of hair. This is performed between the first and third year and remains a prevalent tradition. After this age, the child is considered ready to begin their education. The following sanskaras are then performed. Vidyarambha, the child is introduced to writing typically on Vijayadashmi day. Upanayana, this marks the initiation into Vedic studies where the sacred thread is born. Vedarambha, this signifies the formal commencement of Vedic learning. Keshanta, the first shaving of the beard performed at adolescence around 16 years of age. Samavartana, this sanskar makes the completion of education at the Gurukul and signifies readiness to enter the household stage Grahastha ashram. Vivaha, marriage, after which the individual along with their spouse continues to observe the prescribed sanskaras as per tradition. Antyeshti, the final funeral rites, marking the completion of an individual's life journey. Do you know? An observed earlier As observed earlier, an individual maintains a sacred fire in their household and offers oblations throughout their life. Upon death, the body is consigned to the fire as the final offering. This ultimate act symbolizes the completion of one's earthly journey and the transition to higher realms. Dharma Sutra. Dharma Sutras address several topics already covered in the Gruhya Sutras, such as 16 sanskaras. However, they also elaborate on individual and communal conduct, encompassing subjects like religious observances, statecraft, economy, and law. Due to the inclusion of a broad spectrum of topics that govern all aspects of life, this body of knowledge evolved into an independent Shastra known Dharma Shastra, the guide to Dharma. In summary, Dharma Sutra and Dharma Shastra constitute distinct parts of the Vedic corpus. Dharma Sutras primarily focus on Vedic rituals and the duties associated with different varnas and ashramas, whereas Dharma Shastra expands its scope to include broader ethical and moral principles covering a wide array of topics from the responsibilities of rulers to the rights of women. Further discussion on this subject can be found in the chapter of Dharma Shastra from page 116. Conclusion. In this chapter, we explored the four types of Kalpasutras. The Shrauta Sutras focus on Shrauta Yajna, while the Grihya Sutras elaborate on domestic rituals, including the 16 Samskaras and the 5 Mahayajnas. The Shulva Sutras provide guidelines for constructing fire altars of various shapes, offering valuable insights into geometrical and mathematical concepts. Lastly, the Dharma Sutras serve as guides for conduct at both individual and community level. In this way, Kalpa encompasses a wide range of topics that are essential for performing Vedic rituals and shaping the course of life. Each Veda has its own set of Kalpa Sutras. An introduction to the Upangas. Apart from the 6 Vedangas, there are 4 additional disciplines that aid in understanding the purport of the Vedas. These are 4 in number. Dharma Shastra, which are continuation of Dharma Sutra, forming a part of Kalpa. Nyaya, the science of reasoning and argumentation. Mimamsa, the science of interpreting Vedic statements. And Itihasa Purana, a vast literary tradition encompassing history, gods, and sages. Among these disciplines, Dharma Shastra provides a blueprint for ethical conduct, systematically elucidating the path of Dharma as prescribed in the Vedas. Nyaya, the science of logic, helps substantiate various Vedic concepts and values, and its principles can also be applied to everyday reasoning. Mimamsa is the discipline of Vedic interpretation which can extend to the analysis of other texts as well. Finally, Itihasa Purana comprises 2 great epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata, along with 18 major Puranas. These texts present the essence of the Vedas in a manner accessible to the masses, using narratives, dialogues, and allegories to effectively convey their teachings. In this way, these 4 disciplines serve to explain and extend the meaning of the Vedas, earning their designation as the secondary limbs, Upangas of the Vedas. धर्मशास्त्र इदं शास्त्रं तु कृत्वा सो मामेव स्वयमादितः विधिवद्ग्राहयामास मरीच्यादींस्त्वहं मुनीन्. Having propounded this law, Dharmashastra, he, Brahma, himself first of all taught it to me with due care. I then taught it to Marichi and other sages. Manu in the Manava Dharmashastra 1.58. Expected learning outcomes. At the end of the lesson, the learners will be able to define Dharma and Dharma Shastra, understand the purpose, scope, and contents of Dharma Shastra, appreciate the significance of Dharma Shastra. Introduction. Almost all of us have heard the terms dharma and adharma in everyday conversations. Statements like do this, it is dharma, or do not do this, it is adharma, are common. In this chapter, we will explore the proper definition and sources of dharma in detail. In general, we associate dharma with what is right and adharma with what is wrong. We understand dharma as choosing the best possible course of action in a given situation, leading to a desirable outcome. However, dharma is contextual. It varies depending on circumstances. Because of this, it is difficult to define dharma with absolute certainty. The Shastras themselves declare that the essence of dharma is subtle and difficult to grasp. धर्मस्य तत्त्वं निहितं गुहायाम्. Given this complexity, it is not uncommon to misunderstand dharma or make errors in judgment. This is where Dharma Shastra serves as a guide, offering principles for both individual and societal conduct. These guidelines help ensure that people remain on the path of Dharma and do not deviate from it. Do you know? Dharma is twofold: Samanya Dharma, Dharma in normal times, and Apad Dharma, Dharma in times of distress. Under normal circumstances, actions such as violence are strictly forbidden. However, in times of distress or survival, exceptions are made and such actions may be permitted. आत्मनश्च परित्राणे दक्षिणानां च संगरे स्त्रीविप्राभ्युपपत्तौ च घ्नन् धर्मेण न दुष्यति. In his own defense, in cases of hindrance of sacrificial fees, in the case of outrages upon Brahmanas and women, if one strikes in the cause of right, he incurs no sin. Manava Dharma Shastra 8.349. Translation by Ganganath Jha. Literature review. In the development of this field, we can mainly observe four stages. As we learned in the previous chapter, the earliest Dharma Shastra texts were composed in the form of concise sutras. These texts were known as Dharma Sutras due to their composition styles. Initially, the Dharma Sutras were linked to the kalpa of a specific Vedic branch, Shakha. However, over time, Dharma Shastra evolved into an independent field, incorporating a vast amount of material beyond Vedic rituals. It gradually came to encompass all aspects of life. Next came the texts composed in metrical shloka form, beginning with the most renowned Dharma Shastra of Manu, the Manava Dharma Shastra, also known as Manusmriti. This was followed by other significant compositions attributed to Yajnavalkya, Vishnu, Narada, and Parashar. There also exists a vast collection of commentaries on the aforementioned texts in later periods. Numerous new works and compilations were composed. In this way, Dharma Shastra has evolved as an intellectual tradition spanning over 2000 years. In the last century, the eminent scholar Mahamohopadhyay P.V. Kane wrote History of Dharma Shastra in 5 volumes spanning over 6,000 pages. It was one of the finest research projects on Dharma Shastra and became the standard for further research. It is important to note that the two Itihasas, the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, along with the 18 Puranas, are also regarded as Shastras. These texts illustrate the path of Dharma through dialogues and narratives. To understand how they elaborate on Dharma, refer to the chapters dedicated to these texts. Texts on Dharma Shastra, works, metrical works, commentaries and compilations, modern research and developments. Do you know? P.V. Kane, in his History of Dharma Shastra, has listed more than 100 texts on Dharma Shastra. Core tenets. What is Dharma? Before understanding Dharma, let us first discuss the goals of life. In the Indian tradition, there are four goals known as the Purusharthas: Dharma, righteous conduct; Artha, material prosperity; Artha, material prosperity; Kama, pleasure; and Moksha, liberation. Dharma is one of the most significant goals of life. Our actions should be guided by righteousness. While pursuing Dharma, we are also expected to seek material prosperity, Artha, and sensory pleasures, Kama, which originate from external sources. However, recognizing that these pleasures are transient, we must strive for the eternal source of happiness within ourselves. This concept is deeply rooted in the teachings of the Upanishads. The attainment of this eternal bliss is known as moksha or liberation. Now, how do we define dharma, the highest goal of life? As P.V. Kane states, the Sanskrit word dharma is one of the most difficult to translate into any other language due to its vast connotation. This complexity makes it challenging to convey its full meaning in translation. Let us now take a brief look at the topics covered in the Dharma Shastras. Achara, conduct and rights, duties and obligations of an individual. Conduct according to the stage of life, ashram, religious and cultural observances, including the 16 samskaras and the 5 mahayajnas, universal values such as non injury, ahimsa, truthfulness, and self restraint, administration and governance, vyavahara, legal matters, judicial procedure and law, prayashchitta, expiation, sins and their expiation. From the above list, it is evident that dharma encompasses all aspects of both individual and community life. Hence, Dharma Shastra serves as a guide enabling an individual to follow a righteous path that gradually leads to the highest goal of life. Additionally, it fosters a sense of responsibility, making a person an active contributor to the well being of the community. How to know Dharma? We have concluded that Dharma is righteous conduct. However, as humans with limited knowledge, we cannot always determine what is righteous and what is not. In Sanatan Dharma, there are generally four valid means, pramanas, to understand Dharma. Shruti, the Vedas; Smriti, texts based on the Vedas, such as Dharmashastra, Itihasas, and Puranas; Achara, the conduct of righteous individuals who are well versed in Shruti and Smriti; Atma Tushti, self satisfaction. The Vedas are the highest authority on Dharma. However, they do not always provide explicit guidance on all activities. In such cases, we rely on Dharma Shastras, Itihasas, and Puranas composed by sages well versed in the Vedas who understood the essence of Dharma. When Shruti and Smriti do not offer clear guidance, we turn to Achara, the conduct of the righteous who possess deep knowledge of these scriptures. If even after consulting Shruti, Smriti, and Achara, one faces a dilemma between two equally valid actions, Atmatushti, self satisfaction, becomes the deciding factor. These four, Shruti, Smriti, Achara, and Atmatushti, are recognized as the valid means pramanas to discern dharma. For further insights into the concept of pramana, refer to the chapter on Nyaya. Division of Dharma Shastra's content. In the previous section, we explored some of the major topics covered in Dharma Shastra. Those topics can be broadly classified under three main categories as outlined in the earlier table. Achara, conduct and rights, Vyavahara, legal matters, and Prayaschitta, expiation. Let us now examine these three aspects in detail. Achara, this section outlines the duties prescribed for an individual. Some of the key topics covered under this category are as follows. 1. Samskaras. As discussed in the previous chapter, Samskaras are the 16 rites that mark significant physical and psychological transitions in a person's life. These rites prepare an individual for the next stages of life. Second, 5 Mahayajnas. After marriage, Vivaha, a householder is required to regularly perform the 5 Mahayajnas. The significance of these rituals has already been explained in the preceding chapter. 3. Varna. Society is traditionally classified into 4 broad categories known as Varnas. When all these groups function in harmony, society thrives. Class function. Brahmanas, intellectual and religious duties. Kshatriyas, leadership and martial responsibilities. Vaishyas, financial and trade related activities. Shudras, agriculture, craftsmanship and labor. Do you know? Certain duties are universally applicable to all classes. Samanya Dharma. These include principles such as ahimsa, non-violence, and truthfulness. However, specific duties, Vishesh Dharma, are prescribed for each class based on their role in society. For instance, while ahimsa is a general principle, Kshatriyas are required to engage in battle when necessary, which may appear to contradict the principle of non-violence. 4. Ashrama. Every individual progresses through 4 stages of life known as ashramas. Brahmacharya, the earliest phase of life during which an individual is dedicated to study, discipline, and self restraint. This stage is associated with the Samhita portion of the Vedas, as Vedic learning begins with the study of Samhita. Grahastha, the next phase in which an individual marries and fulfills responsibilities towards family and society. This stage is linked to the Brahman portion of the Vedas, which details the yajnas that a householder is required to perform. Do you know? Heaven and earth were once together, but they became separate. Then they said, "Let us bring about a marriage. Let there be cooperation between us." Mahabharat 7.10.1, quoted by P.V. Kani. Vanaprastha, the stage of retirement during which an individual withdraws from worldly responsibilities and leads a life of austerity and minimalism. This phase is associated with the Aranyaka portion of the Vedas, as the Aranyakas are traditionally studied and after retreating to the forest. Sannyas, the final stage of life, marked by complete renunciation of worldly attachments in pursuit of spiritual enlightenment, uh, which is considered the ultimate goal of life. This stage is connected with the Upanishad portion of the Vedas, as the Upanishads are meant to be studied by those who have renounced the material world and seek the eternal bliss that is the true nature of the self. Phases of life portion of the Vedas: Brahmacharya Samhita, Grihastha Brahmana, Vanaprastha Aranyaka, and Sannyasa Upanishad. Vyavahara. The Vyavahara section mainly deals with Vyavahara Padas. Vyavahara Padas. A point of dispute on which a litigation can take place is known as Vyavahara Pada. These are 18 in number. Let us see the list of these topics as given in the Manava Dharma Shastra as translated by Ganganath Jha. Individual and group disputes, non-payment of debt, mismanagement of deposits, sale of property without ownership rights, joint concerns, failure to deliver promised goods or services, non-payment of wages, breach of contractual agreements, rescission, rescission of sale and purchase agreements, conflicts between owners and custodians, disputes over disputes over property boundaries, criminal laws, physical assault, verbal assault, theft, acts of violence, and adultery. Personal law, duties and responsibilities of husband and wife, laws of inheritance and partition, public order and safety, regulations on gambling and betting. The Dharma Shastra provides detailed legal provisions regarding these Vyavahara Padas. It includes comprehensive guidelines on court procedures, filing of complaints, witness testimonies, documentation, and investigation processes. Prayashchitta. Expiatory rites, prayashchitta, are performed to atone for sins. Certain transgressions, such as consuming liquor, theft, and association with sinners, are considered Mahapatakas, great sins. The process of atonement generally includes the following practices: confession, repentance, pranayam, tapas, austerities such as fasting and simple living, homa, japa, chanting, dana, gifts, and tirthayatra pilgrimage. Do you know? For when confessed, the sin becomes less, since it becomes truth. Shatapatha Brahmana 2.5.2.20, quoted by P.V. Kani. For when confessed, the sin becomes less, since it becomes truth. Conclusion. This concludes our lesson on Dharma Shastra. We have explored the meaning and scope of Dharma and it means to discern it. We also have examined the significance of various aspects of Dharma Shastra. It is evident that Dharmashastra not only governs individual and societal conduct but also addresses legal and religious matters of great importance. While material and sensual pleasures can be pursued, they must remain within the bounds of Dharma. Ultimately, Dharma, as outlined in Dharma Shastra, serves as a guide towards higher goals, culminating in moksha, the supreme objective of human life. Overview of Dharma Shastra. धर्मशास्त्र प्रायश्चित्त व्यवहार आचार प्रायश्चित्त फॉर अनइंटेंडेड सिन्स हरि ओम हे लागत नाही लाईट इथे दोन बल्ब आणले पाहिजे हा आणि काचा दोन्ही लागत नाही हां तर ते तुम्हाला जमलं तर कोणतरी लावतील तुझं ते क्लासला येतात ना ते लोक लावतील ते डबा नंतर द्याल का चालेल तुम्ही आलंच ना आता एक तारखेला मीटिंगला वगैरे त्याच्या अगोदर नाही नाही ना त्याच्या अगोदर नाही हां चालेल ना हरी हरी ठीक ना बाकी सगळं वडील पण या तरी ठीक आहे ना त्यांची पण तब्येत बरी आहे आणि जास्त अर्जंट नाही इमर्जन्सी नाही हरी So प्रायश्चित्त for unintended sin, कृच्छ्र, चांद्रायण, प्राजापत्य, यावक, यवक, परक, अनुताप, realization and repentance, pranayama, control consequences, homa, remove impurities of mind, japa, develops the purity in heart, dana, relief from burden of the sin, upavasa, penance for omitting Vedic rites, tirthayatra, destroy the heaps of sin, law and administration, rajadharma, enunciation, economic life, jobs and vriddhi. Inheritance, details of who and how will inherit. And here achara, varnashrama, balance duties and responsibilities, 40 sanskaras, form and develop personality, and pancha mahayajnas. न्याय यदक्षपादः प्रवरो मुनीनां शमाय शास्त्रं जगतां जगाद. Akshapad Gautam, the foremost amongst the sages, propounded Nyaya Shastra for the quietude of the world. Udyotakara in his Nyaya Vartika. Udyotakara in his Nyaya Vartika. Learning outcomes. At the end of the lesson, the learners will be able to understand the purpose and scope of Nyaya, comprehend the Triputi framework, appreciate the principles of argumentation and reasoning propounded in Nyaya. Introduction. Nyaya is generally referred to as the science of logic. However, it encompasses much more than mere logic. It is a system of thought that perceives reality in a systematic manner. To achieve this, Nyaya classifies all existing entities into various categories, identifies the instruments or means of knowledge, and elaborates on proper reasoning and argumentation. Additionally, Nyaya serves as a crucial tool for understanding the purport of the Vedas, as it helps substantiate fundamental concepts of Sanatan Dharma such as Ishvara, God, Atman, self, Punya, merit, and Purva Janma, previous birth, through logical reasoning. As we delve deeper, we will realize that the principles propounded by Nyaya are not limited to a particular domain but hold universal applicability. Literature review. The sage Gautama composed the Nyaya Sutra, which forms the foundation of the Nyaya system. Over time, Nyaya evolved through two distinct phases: Prachina Nyaya, ancient Nyaya, and Navya Nyaya, new Nyaya. While the former laid the groundwork for logical analysis, the latter placed greater emphasis on precise definitions, technical terminology, and rigorous examination. Among the most renowned introductory texts on Nyaya are Tarkasangraha by Annam Bhatta and Tarkabhasha by Keshava Mishra, both of which provide a foundational understanding of logical reasoning and analysis. Core tenets, Triputi framework. The purpose of Nyaya is to attain knowledge of the true nature of things. According to Nyaya, such knowledge ultimately leads to liberation, moksha. To achieve this, an understanding of the following three components is essential. Pramata, knower; Pramana, means or instrument to know; Prameya, the knowable object. In essence, we, Pramata, examine the true nature of objects, Prameya, through a valid means of knowledge, Pramana. For example, a person, Pramata, perceives the taste of a sweet, Prameya, using their tongue, Pramana. This structured approach to acquiring knowledge is known as the Triputi threefold framework. Triputi, Pramata, Pramana, Prameya. Do it yourself. Imagine you are listening to your favorite song or watching a movie. What is the Triputi in these cases? Pramata. The knower is the Atman self and is one of the nine substances, dravyas. It is classified into two types: Paramatman, Supreme Self or God, the singular omniscient entity, also called as Ishvara. Jivatman, individual cells, numerous in number, each distinct from the Paramatman. Pramana. Nyaya recognizes four instruments or means pramanas to acquire different kinds of knowledge. These are as follows: 1. Pratyaksha pramana, sense organ, knowledge acquired through direct sensory experience. Tongue, taste. Example, the tongue perceives taste. Second, Anumana Pramana, inference, knowledge derived from reasoning based on a premise. Example, noise from a classroom, absence of teacher. 3. Upamana Pramana analogy, knowledge gained through comparison or resemblance between a known and an unknown entity. Example, a big ship, a submarine. Recognizing a submarine based on its similarity to a ship. 4. Shabda Pramana, verbal testimony, knowledge obtained from the words of a reliable authority or source. Example, a manual provides knowledge on how to operate electronic devices. Additionally, Mimamsa recognizes two more pramanas, Arthapatti and Abhava. For further details, refer to the chapter on Mimamsa. Pramanas, sources of valid cognition, Jnana, cognition, Pratyaksha Pramana, sense organs, Pratyaksha Jnana, perceptual cognition, Anumana, inference, Anumiti, inferential cognition. Upamana, analogy, Upamiti, cognition of similarity. Shabda, verbal testimony, Shabdabodha, verbal cognition. Do it yourself. Which pramana is more reliable among the above four? Discuss. Which pramana is used in the following cases? When you quote a line to defend your viewpoint, when you listen to your favorite song, when you avoid traveling on a cloudy day, when you tell a kid that cotton candy looks like a cloud, when you eat your favorite ice cream. Prameya. Nyaya divides all the existing things that are to be known into seven fundamental categories known as padarthas. These are as follows: Dravya, substance. There are nine dravyas: earth, water, fire, air, and space, akasha, along with time, kal, direction, dik, mind, manas, and self, atman. Guna, quality. Although blue and red lotuses both belong to the same category, we can differentiate them based on their color, which is a guna quality. In total, there are 24 such gunas. Karma, action. Actions are classified into five types: expansion, contraction, rising, falling, and other remaining actions. Samanya, commonality. Although lotus and jasmine are distinct objects, still we recognize a common attribute between them, which allows us to classify both as flowers. In the terminology of Nyaya, this shared characteristic is referred to as flowerness, pushpatva. Vishesha, speciality. The smallest indivisible particle of a substance is known as Paramanu. Every Paramanu that constitutes a substance possesses a distinct characteristic that differentiates it from other particles of the same substance as well as from those of different substances. This uniqueness is referred to as Vishesha. Samavaya, inherence. Certain things coexist with another entity until their destruction. This inseparable relationship is known as inherence. For example, the color of an object cannot be separated from it unless the object itself is destroyed. Abhava, absence. If there is no pot on the floor contains the abhava, absence of the pot. Let us analyze an entity. Let us examine how we can use these categories, padarthas, to analyze an entity, namely a cow. A cow is the combination of all, all the dravyas. It is subject to kal, time, and dik, direction. It possesses gunas, qualities such as color, touch, number, size, pain, happiness, and so on. It performs karmas, actions like moving, standing, sitting, eating, and so on. There is a distinguishing feature by which one recognizes it as a cow, a quality common to all cows, known as gotva, cowness. This represents samanya, commonality. Every particle that makes up the cow has a uniqueness which differentiates it from other particles of the same cow, as well as from the particles that constitute different objects. This uniqueness is known as Vishesha speciality. The color of the cow cannot be separated and shown as an independent entity. Thus, the relationship between the cow and its color is samavaya inherence. The cow contains the abhava absence of a cat. In this way, understanding a cow in its entirety is possible through a detailed study of the categories padarthas associated with it. Do it yourself. Think of an object that cannot be classified under these seven categories padarthas. Analyze any one object in your surroundings using these seven categories. Reasoning. To understand the style of reasoning propounded by Nyaya, let us read out the following story. Story Smoke and Fire. Devadatta was hungry and went to the kitchen, where he saw both smoke and fire. He then went to the cowshed and observed the same phenomenon. Finally, at the crossroads, he once again perceived smoke along with fire. From these observations, he concluded that smoke invariably coexists with fire. While on his way, he noticed smoke rising from a mountain. He wondered whether there could be fire on the mountain. Recalling his earlier conclusion about the invariable coexistence of smoke and fire, he realized that the smoke he perceived on the mountain must also be accompanied by fire. Thus, he concluded that the mountain contained fire. When we see smoke on a mountain, we infer the presence of fire. This knowledge falls under inferential cognition, anumiti jnana, as discussed earlier. But have you ever wondered how we arrive at this conclusion? There are seven cognitive steps involved in the inferential cognition, as demonstrated in the story. Before identifying these steps, let us understand the three key entities involved in this process. Base Paksha, the location where something is claimed entity Sadhya, the entity whose existence is to be proven in the base. Reason Hetu, the factor that establishes the existence of the claimed entity in the base. In the example above, the mountain is the base, fire is the claimed entity, and smoke is the reason. Now let us examine the seven cognitive steps involved in inferential cognition. 1. Repeated observation. Devadatta repeatedly observed the association between smoke, reason, and fire, claimed entity, in various locations. Smoke, kitchen, cowshed, crossway, fire. Second, experience of invariable coexistence. After repeated observations, Devadatta concluded that smoke is an invariable coexistent of fire. The smoke, invariable coexistence with fire. 3. Experience of the reason in the base. Devadatta observed smoke, reason, rising from the mountain base. Mountain smoke. 4. Doubt of the claimed entity in the base. Devadatta wondered whether there is fire, the claimed entity, on the mountain base. 5. Recollection of invariable coexistence. Devadatta recalled his earlier conclusion that smoke, reason, and fire, claimed entity, have an invariable coexistence. Smoke, invariable coexistence, fire. 6. Subjunctive reflection. Devadatta reflected that the smoke which he observed on the mountain is not merely smoke but also an invariable coexistent of fire. This means he simultaneously perceived the smoke on the mountain and recognized its invariable coexistence with fire. Hence, this step combines the third and fifth steps. Third step, mountain, smoke, invariable coexistence, fire. Fifth step, inferential recognition, cognition, seventh point. Finally, he concluded that there was fire claimed entity on the mountain base. Do it yourself. Think of an instance where you have employed inference. Write down all 7 steps leading to your conclusion. Until now, we have discussed inference for personal understanding. However, when we need to convince others about the presence of fire on the mountain, we must follow these 5 steps. Pratijna, proposition, the mountain has fire. Hetu, reason, because it has smoke. Udaharan, example, wherever there is smoke, there is fire, as in the case of kitchen. Upanaya, application, the same applies to the mountain. It has smoke, which is an invariable coexistent of fire. Nigamana, conclusion, therefore the mountain has fire. Do you know, in classical Western logic, reasoning involves 3 fundamental steps. A conclusion is derived based on 2 premises. An example of this reasoning is as follows. Premise 1, all humans are mortal. Premise 2, Socrates is a human. Conclusion, Socrates is mortal. Nyaya and Sanatan Dharma. We hold several values intrinsic to our civilization. In Sanatan Dharma, concepts such as Ishvara, God, Atman, soul, Punya, merit, Papa, demerit, and previous birth are fundamental beliefs. Traditionally, these concepts have been accepted through faith and devotion. However, in contemporary times, faith in these ideas has diminished and many attempt to refute them through logical reasoning. In such a scenario, Nyaya provides rigorous tools for reasoning and argumentation, helping establish these concepts logically. One well known example of this is the inference of a creator god Ishvara. The inference can be structured as follows. Inferential statement, earth, sprouts, and the like are created by an agent, intelligent entity, since their products have a beginning like a pot. The 3 key entities in this inference are 1. Base, earth, sprouts, and similar entities. 2. Claimed entities, creation by an intelligent agent. 3. Reason, being a product having a beginning. To arrive at this conclusion, the following 7 steps are involved. 1. Repeated observation, observing objects such as pots, books, and vehicles, which are all created by agents. Second, experience of invariable coexistence, recognizing that whatever is produced is created by an agent. This invariable coexistence is observed in the case of pots and similar objects. Being a product, invariable coexistence, creation by an agent. 3. Experience of the reason in the base, observing that earth, sprouts, and similar entities, the base, are also produced, that is, they have a beginning. So, earth, sprouts, and the like being produced. 4. Doubt regarding the claimed entity in the base, questioning whether earth sprouts and similar entities like the base, are indeed created by an agent, the claimed entity. 5. Recollection of invariable coexistence. Recalling the previously established principle that whatever is produced is necessarily created by an agent. 6. Substantive reflection. Recognizing that the property of being produced, which exists in entities such as earth and sprouts, is invariably coexistent with the property of being created by an agent. Third step, earth, sprouts and the like produced, invariable coexistence created by an agent. Fifth step. 7. Inferential cognition, concluding that earth, sprouts and similar entities are created by an agent, intelligent entity. In this way, we conclude that an intelligent entity exists as the creator of the entire universe. This intelligent entity is known as Ishvara. Do you know? In Nyaya, concepts such as previous birth and the self Atman, distinct from the body, are also established through inferential statements. Inferential fallacies, hetvabhasas. In the process of reasoning and argumentation, sometimes we use wrong logic, which is known as logical fallacy. Nyaya identifies 5 such fallacies which should be avoided. 1. Savyabhichara. This is a bull because it has horns. Fault. Other animals can also have horns, making the reasoning inconclusive. So, Vibhichara. Second, Viruddha. Humans are eternal because they are born. Fault. Something that is born cannot be eternal as it did not exist before its birth. Here, being born contradicts Viruddha, the notion of eternity. 3. Sat Pratipaksha. I will pass with flying colors because I have the best guidebook. Fault. You might not perform well as you have been procrastinating. 4. Asiddha. A shadow is a substance because it moves. Fault. The reason is invalid as a shadow does not move on its own. It only appears to move when the object casting it moves. 5. Badhita. Fire is cold because it is a substance. Fault. Direct perception through touch, pratyaksha pramana, confirms that fire is hot, contradicting the claim. Debating, katha. Thus far, we have explored how knowledge is acquired using the Tripudi framework, the knower pramata, the knowable prameya, and the means to acquire knowledge pramana. Now, let us move on to the concept of debate known as katha in Nyaya. Katha is defined as the verbal exchange between two individuals who hold mutually contradictory viewpoints on a given topic. For example, one individual may argue for the existence of a self Atman distinct from the body, while another may argue against it. Nyaya categorizes katha into 3 types as outlined below. 1. Vada refers to a debate conducted with the primary aim of arriving at the truth rather than merely achieving victory. For example, a discussion between a teacher and a disciple can be considered Vada. This type of debate is characterized by the following features: proving one's viewpoint, refuting opponent's viewpoint, utilizing of the four pramanas, employing the five-step reasoning process. Second, Jalpa. This type of debate shares all the characteristics of Vada. However, its primary objective is to achieve victory over the opponent rather than to seek the truth. To accomplish this, the following tactics are employed. Chala, misinterpreting the opponent's statement by assigning an unintended meaning. Jati, providing an inappropriate response based on superficial similarity or dissimilarity. Nigrahasthana, highlighting the opponent's ignorance and logical fallacies. Vidanda 3. Vidanda, similar to Jalpa, but here one merely refutes the opponent's argument without being obliged to establish or defend their own viewpoint. This classification makes it evident that if the goal is to achieve victory, one may engage in Jalpa or Vitanda. However, if the objective is to arrive at the truth, Vada must be employed. Do it yourself. In debates, we generally find people often employ the above mentioned tactics to achieve victory. Read the following verbal exchanges and identify the specific tactics used. 1. I have learned how to shoot. Are you not aware that possessing a gun is illegal? Second, sound is impermanent because it is a product like a pot. Then, unlike a pot, why does sound not have particles? Why do we perceive sound only through our ears, whereas a pot is perceived through our eyes? 3. Shadow is a substance because it moves. It is mere ignorance, it is the object that moves, not the shadow. This proves that all your arguments are incorrect and you are defeated. 4. This man is hardworking. How can you argue that he is hardworking solely because based on the fact that he is male? Conclusion. In this chapter, we explored how Nyaya developed various tools for analyzing human cognition, particularly reasoning and debate. These tools have been adopted by other schools of philosophy and disciplines such as grammar and poetics to present their doctrines and refute opposing viewpoints. We specifically examined inference as a means of supporting many of our civilizational concepts and values. This demonstrates that Nyaya provides a universal framework for discourse, enabling the articulation and defense of diverse perspectives. मीमांसा 3.3 मीमांसा अथ कारुणिको भगवान् जैमिनी धर्मविवेकाय द्वादशलक्षणीं प्रणिनाय. The most compassionate and reverent Jaimini composed his work consisting of 12 chapters for the investigation of dharma. Laugakshi Bhaskara in Artha Sangraha expected learning outcomes. At the end of the lesson, the learners will be able to describe the purpose and scope of Mimamsa, understand the fundamental principles of Mimamsa interpretation, appreciate its application, particularly in legal interpretation. Introduction. Although the Mimamsa principles were created for religious purpose, They were so rational and logical that they subsequently began to be used in law, grammar, logic, philosophy, and so on. That is, they became of universal application. These are the words of the Supreme Court in one of its judgments. Do you know what Mimamsa means? The term literally translates to reflection or investigation. It is the science of interpreting Vedic statements, although Mimamsa primarily developed to critically examine the statements of the Vedas in order to determine what constitutes dharma and adharma. Its principles can also be applied to interpreting legal texts such as acts and statutes in the resolution of disputes. Notably, Indian courts have referenced Mimamsa rules in several judgments. The Vedas contain an extensive body of literature divided into four sections, as outlined in the introductory chapters on the Vedas. Mimamsa primarily investigates the meaning of statements found in the Brahmana portion, as it deals with action, karma. It does not examine the Upanishadic portion, which focuses on knowledge, jnana. The interpretation of this portion falls under Vedanta, the renowned philosophy of the unity between the individual self Jivatman and the Supreme Self Paramatman, as expounded by Acharya Adi Shankara. Do you know? As Mimamsa analyzes the statements of the Vedas to reveal their true meaning, it is also known as uh, Va- Vakya Shastra. Vakya Shastra, meaning the science of the critical analysis of statements, Vakya. In contrast, Vyakarana and Nirukta are referred to as Padashastra, as they primarily focus on individual words, padas. Similarly, Nyaya is called Pramana Shastra, as it elaborates on the means pramans of acquiring knowledge, as discussed in the previous chapter. Literature review. The Mimamsa Sutra, composed by the sage Jaimini, forms the foundation of Mimamsa. These sutras were later commented upon by Shabaraswami in his Bhashya. Kumaril Bhatta, in turn, wrote a commentary on Shabara's Bhashya and is regarded as the greatest scholar of the Mimamsa school. He was followed by Prabhakara and Mandana, while Mandana continued to adhere to Kumaril Bhatta's interpretation. Prabhakara introduced slight variations in his interpretation of the Mimamsa Sutra. As a result, two distinct schools emerged known as the Bhatta and Prabhakara schools. Do you know? The sutras of Jaimini are divided into 12 chapters, with each chapter further divided into several quarters, padas. The text comprises nearly 1000 topics, known as adhikaranas. Each adhikaran addresses a specific point of doubt and, through a process of reasoning, seeks to determine the correct interpretation of Vedic statements. The five constituents or limbs, angas, of the adhikarans are as follows: Vishaya Vakya, a doubtful Vedic statement; Samshaya, doubt regarding its correct meaning; Purva Paksha, the view put forward by the opponent; Uttar Paksha, the refutation of the opponent's view; and Siddhanta, the final conclusion. Core tenets. Mimamsa considers dharma to be the most important subject of knowledge. According to Mimamsa, the Vedas are the sole authority for understanding dharma. In this system, dharma is defined as that which instructs individuals to perform actions, karma. Although certain Vedic statements may not explicitly prescribe any action, they are considered to be indirectly connected or subsidiary to some form of action. Therefore, Mimamsa asserts that the entirety of the Vedas expounds actions which are regarded as dharma. Do you know? According to the sage Jaimini, dharma is that which is beneficial and prescribed by a Vedic statement, such as a sacrifice, yaga, adharma. On the other hand, is its opposite, such as causing harm to others, himsa. The Vedic statement, one who desires Swarga should perform a yaga, highlights the essential components of prescribed actions. In all such actions, the following three elements are involved: Swarga, the desired result, also known as sadhya; yaga, the means to attain the result, also known as sadhana. The procedure of the yaga is known as iti kartavyata. Do it yourself. All our actions involve these three elements. Choose an action and identify these elements within it. Division of Vedic statements. Mimamsa asserts that Vedic statements can be primarily classified into three categories: Vidhi, injunctions or do's; Nishedha, prohibitions or don'ts; and Arthavada, praise or condemnation. Vidhi, statements that instruct one to perform an action. Nishedha, statements that forbid certain actions. Arthavada, statements that either extol or condemn an action, thereby encouraging or discouraging
Jaya Shri
its
Ram,
performance.
Jaya Raghuram, Janaki Jeevan Sundar Ram, Devaganarchita. Jaya Shri Ram, Jaya Raghuram, Janaki Jeevan Sundar Ram, Devaganarchita.